the shadow of the Rockies, where the wild winds blow, Albertans rise up, tired of the status quo. Oil sands pumping black gold, beef on the grill so fine, grain fields waving golden, canola blooming in the sunshine. But Ottawa's taking our billions, unfair equalization gain, sending it east to Quebec while we shoulder the blame. No more pipelines blocked, no more carbon tax chains. We're done with the feds breaking free from their reins. Alberta freedom ringing loud and true, sovereignty calling, independence coming through. No more woke liberalism stealing our way of life. Albertans stand tall, cutting loose from the strife. Rocky Mountains watching as we claim our own land. Freedom for our families with a rifle in hand. Alberta freedom, let the anthems roll. We're building our nation forevermore. From the prairie to the peaks, where the eagles soar high, we're sick of the traitors calling us traitors, that's a lie.
That's right.
Equalization's a thief, stealing our hard-earned pay.
We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. But we're back once again. Oh. Good to see everyone out there.
No more begging for ports, landlocked but strong we stand. We'll negotiate our future with the world in our hand. Alberta freedom, ringing loud and true, sovereignty calling, independence coming through. No more woke liberalism stealing our way of life. Albertans stand tall, cutting loose from the strife. Rocky Mountains watching as we claim our own land. Freedom for our families with a rifle in hand. Alberta freedom, let the anthems roll. We're building our nation forevermore. They say it's
Just getting everything set up in the back end here.
Like Ukraine from the Soviets, we'll fight through the night. No more sending our wealth to fund their endless schemes. Our pensions rising, fulfilling our dreams. Tired of the liberals, their rules and their games. Albertans
Need a little better thumbnail here. Hang on.
falling out on
Yeehaw. Let's go, Alberta.
Canola fields yellow, beef herds grazing free, oil sands fueling futures as far as the eye can see. We're Albertans first, with hearts full of fire. Separation's the answer.
Good to see everyone today. Thanks a lot for joining us today. You're watching the Tommy Temper Show, coming to you live. Coming to you live from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, where we had quite the snowstorm the other day. And now we're up to, it's +6 right now outside. And over the last day or two, things have kind of melted a little bit there. There was actually quite a snow still around on the boulevards and stuff like that yesterday. But now that I look outside here, there's just a few little skiffs of snow on the north side of properties. It's actually looking pretty good. Nice day. +6 going up to +11 for a high today. Looking good. Looking marvelous, as they say, or as I used to say. It's a heat wave. Yeah, Mater. Yeah, you got that right. Yeah, Mater. By the way, let's see, who was it? Somebody asked me to take your wrench away. Oh, it was Wire. Wire said, you got to take Mater's wrench away because I just come in your chat to say hi, and then Mater just bashes me, times me out, whatever, or bans. I don't think you ever banned him, but maybe it's you that's doing that to Brett too, Mater. I don't know whether you're being too rambunctious with the wrench, but sorry about having to take your wrench away. But it was Wire that actually told me to do that. I was over on Scott's channel over there and had a chance to talk to Wire over there, and he mentioned that. So anyways, that's what happened to your wrench. So yeah, these things happen. Let me know if the audio is okay. Actually, I'm kind of driving my audio a little bit here. Let me back it off a little bit here. Maybe that might be a little bit better. Oh, okay. I finally, I can see where there's a little VU meter. I've got a new setup here. I'm still running my Rodecaster Pro 2 and Stream Deck and my microphone and everything into OBS. Then I'm running OBS via a virtual camera, and audio is coming out via cable D, and I'm feeding that into some new software. The new software is called, let me see, what is the name of it here now? EV Mux. Yeah, that's Echo Victor Mux, MUX, evmux.com. If you want to check out the software that I'm using, EV Mux. And it is basically a StreamYard alternative, you might say. StreamYard basically got bought out by one of these companies that just maximizes profit. They take apps on the internet and they just push them, add a couple of new features, and then just try and crank out as much revenue as they can from them. I watched a show on that company that does it. I don't remember what the name of that company is that does that, but they've gone overboard to the point that it's way too expensive. And I would have to go up to have to pay $66 US, I think it is, per month for the tier that I needed over here, because I wanted to be able to stream to more than one place. Well, or actually 3 places, because I was able, or I was limited to only being able to stream to 3 places. Like right now, and I don't know, I'll have to double check and see whether or not I am actually streaming, but I should be streaming to Kick, to Facebook, to YouTube, to Twitch, to X, and let's see, the only one that I can see that I'm not streaming to is Rumble. I'm not streaming to Rumble right now, but maybe I need to set up a URL and stream key on Rumble to make that happen, so I'll double check that for the next time I go live. But I can see that there's a little thing on Rumble here, an exclamation mark, that makes it look like I'm not streaming there. And Instagram, but I'm not sure that I'm going to stream to Instagram. The reason for that is that you can only stream to Instagram for 1 hour, and actually it shows that I'm streaming to Instagram. Whether I am or not, I don't know. Tommy Temper on Instagram. I'm not sure if it's Tommy Temper Show or whatever. I rarely use Instagram, but maybe I am live over there. Hard to say. Yeah, heat wave in here. There's no doubt about that. Let me show you outside of my window here. This is what it looks like. And if you've seen this view outside of my window, it was completely covered with snow a couple of days ago, and now you can just see just a little bit of snow there across the street in the lots there across the street. Just a hair of snow out there. No snow on the road, no snow on my bird feeder or anything like that. So it's actually nice and sunny out there today. It's looking quite beautiful. It's a good day to be outside. In fact, might be even a good day to go bike riding, because, well, usually I don't like to go out there if temperature's below 15 degrees Celsius. And the high today is going to be 11 degrees Celsius. So it's not quite hot enough to go, but I think we're going to go because it's a nice sunny day. And the Edmonton Oilers are playing hockey today. They're whatever, in some kind of a championship or something there. You know how it is this time of the year. The Oilers, which is a pretty good team, they're always, getting into the playoffs and stuff like that. And basically, there's a whole bunch of people going to be dressing up in their Edmonton Oiler, McDavid, jerseys and stuff like that, and running downtown to Rogers Place to watch that hockey game there tonight. So, we might very well drive or ride our e-bike downtown and maybe even go live there to show you what's going on outside of Rogers Place there later today. Look for that maybe happening after maybe about 3, 4, 5 hours from now. Is probably about 5 hours from now is when people start showing up there. So, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think my audio is not too bad here. Let me just, that's a mute button, so that's not going to help me. I'll just double check my audio settings. We are running cable D. My audio is cranked up all the way. And I do see that my audio is running about halfway up the VU meter, feeding out, or into the EV Mux. Yeah, now I have a new thing to remember. Now I have to remember EV Mux, which is a weird name, really, really weird. But basically, I was talking to a guy. I was on his panel, a guy by the name of YouTube Police, and he was in there with a bunch of his friends there, and they were using EV Mux. And I got onto his panel via EV Mux, which is exactly the same as StreamYard. I drop a link. The link is to EV Mux instead of to StreamYard. You click the link, takes you up into a window where you add in your username, like Tommy Temper or whatever. And then you made up your audio and your camera if you're running a PC, or if you're on your phone, you just turn on your camera and microphone, and then you enter the studio, and then it's the same thing. You're like along the bottom edge of the main thing, the main screen for me, anyways, and then I can click on you to bring you up onto the stream, and then it's got similar type things where you can do stuff like this. I still have I thought I set it up where. Whoa! Red Mama in the house. Thank you very much, Real Red Mama.
Scottish Stetter admitted in court and live streamed himself that he counting my kid in the bathroom, so GFY Scott.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Thanks a lot for that super chat. Wow. Sad to hear about that. Yeah. Yeah, I know. He was actually live streaming children going into the washroom. You know what I mean? Like, there's something the matter with that guy, and even talking about it too. He should have known that would be trouble. And he's going to be going to court there pretty soon. I know. I was watching a little bit of his stream there in the hot tub there last night. You're talking about defender of ants, Scotty. And he's working on suing people, and he's working on his court appearance and stuff like that. And he's got so much stuff on the go there that he's just got a big cloud over his head. And he is just like, really, honestly, don't do stuff against other people. Don't do stuff that will get you in trouble with the law, because you'll have a big cloud over your head for a long time, worrying about what's going to happen to you, whether or not you're going to end up in jail or whatever, stuff like that. So, incredible that he does stuff like that. I don't like seeing stuff like that at all, that people get involved in that. That's... I'm having a bit of a thing where I have to watch what I'm doing here. Okay, there's Quack in there. I see that comment in there. Hey, Quack, good to see you. And let me see. I wish I could easily find that super chat on my thingamajiggy here, so that I could bring that super chat up on my stream here. let me just see. We got a lot of people in there. We got Elma in there. Masada's in there. Good to see you. We've got Herman, the tosser, in there saying good afternoon. Good to see you in there. Big ups to you. Wow, nice avatar there. You're looking beautiful there today, Herman. Yeah, exactly. We got RH T in there. Hey, watching Worst Dutchies back. Oh, RHTV live from Netherlands there. Hey, good to see you. Yeah, I know. I've seen you around the internet a little bit there in some of the other chats, whatever. Yeah, good to see that. Excellent, excellent. Good to see you coming in from the Netherlands there. Yeah, you guys are having lots of protests and stuff like that over there. We've got Lobster Jeff in there. Hey, good to see you, Lobster. Hopefully you're catching lots of lobsters. What did I see? I read something about lobsters, that people used to not eat lobsters. They used to think that lobsters were actually bad because they're like the bottom, or called the bottom feeders. You know what I mean? Like they're at the bottom of the ocean and they're basically eating all the dead stuff that's left over, the dead fish and stuff like that sinks to the bottom of the ocean. And in the old days, people used to consider them as being like, no, I'm not going to eat lobsters, you know. And then all of a sudden something turned around to where now lobsters are becoming like a delicacy. Well, in fact, for quite a while, I always knew them as being a delicacy. They were like the, you know, lobster and steak or something, some of the most expensive things on the menu, you know what I mean? But I just heard that story there just the other day about them being bottom feeders, you know, that kind of thing. There it is. There's the super chat. Thanks a lot for that super chat. Scott admitted in court and live streamed himself, that he confronted your kid in the bathroom. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, I followed Scott when he was coming up from southern USA to the convoy. That's when I first caught wind of him, and that's where I first started restreaming him, was in his mobile, in his truck, and his truck said, the media is the virus. And I agreed with that, you know. But I also kind of, you know, clued in that Scott didn't seem to be with the convoy. You know what I mean? He was in a little convoy, but he was like on his own, not really associating with other people. He was, you know, kind of being more to himself and had his own agenda. You know what I mean? And I think his own agenda was his YouTube channel. Like, he was acting like he was some kind of an actor. He calls everyone else a bad actor because he considers himself to be an actor. And of course, he considers himself to be a good actor. But as it turns out, he calls everyone else a bad actor. And then he ends up being the worst of the worst bad actor. Sorry, Scotty. You know, I like to be friends with everybody. You know what I'm like, real mama. I like to be friends with everybody. You know what I mean? But it's a tough job. It's a tough job because some people are liked better than other people are. You know what I mean? And, you know, being here, and especially being a restreamer, you know, when you restream other people, like I've restreamed you, Red Mama. In fact, I was actually streaming Scotty that night when I think it was you that on Capitol Hill, he confronted you and then you came up to him and pepper sprayed him. Oh, that was glorious. That was the funniest thing ever. Yeah. So just reliving some moments from back in the good old days there. Yeah. But anyways, we're having a good time with the internet. We always have a good time with the internet. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, and of course, up here in Alberta, because I have to talk about this because my title. And let's see, I can't even see my title all that well here. Oh, let's see. Live, Alberta, Independence for the Win is the title of my stream. And if you saw me on Sunday, I was live on Sunday, and we had a bit of a convoy. There was about 2 blocks, I don't know, maybe there was about, I would guess 30, 40 vehicles in the convoy, something like that. And there was a big truck, too. There was that Rebel truck with the advertising on it. We were just basically publicizing the fact that, you know, there are a lot of people in Alberta that want independence. We want to break away from the Confederation of Canada and become our own country. Excuse my hiccuping here. Hang on, I need a drink of water here. There you go. Yeah, I was on that car rally flag waving thing over on Gateway Boulevard and 38th Avenue is where everyone was kind of set up there. And then we went on an impromptu convoy. And by the way, if you're watching in from Alberta, this might be of interest to you. That we've got this app that we're using called Zello. Those of you that were following the convoy, remember the convoy to Ottawa and that stuff, and even the American convoy. That everyone started using an app called Zello, and this is what the app looks like on your phone when you have it turned on. Zello. And then if you push the button here, it's a push to talk thing. You push this thing here, and then you can talk, and then people on that particular channel can hear you. So I have done the people in Alberta here a favor and set up the channel on Zello. So if you do have that Zello app on your phone, you can talk to us on a channel that I've set up called simply Alberta Independence, capital A, capital I, Alberta Independence, 2 words, and that is going to be the global channel for talking about Alberta independence. So first of all, go to the App Store, load the app called ZELLO on your phone. Once you have it loaded on your phone, then register by giving your email and a username. And then go to channels and click the plus button and add, or not, don't make a new channel, but find a channel, add a channel, and then there's a search bar, and then search for Alberta Independence, and then you can be turned on, and then you can hear everyone talking. And we've got a few of the people that are leaders in the stuff that happens here in Alberta on that channel already. And we will also have sub-channels relating to convoys going on in Edmonton, in the Red Deer area, like Sylvan Lake, Red Deer, that whole central part of Alberta, and also Calgary area. So because there's always convoys and stuff like that going on. Now, there are those of you that think, oh yeah, well, you guys are just wasting your time. Tommy Temper riding around in his car there with a flag waving or whatever, you're not doing any good, whatever. You know what? There were literally thousands and thousands and thousands of vehicles that saw all of our flag waving on Sunday. Because we were driving up and down the freeway out to the airport to Nisku, places like that, and we had lots of fun. But we needed a way to converse with all of the people in the convoy. So this is my proposal is to those people that are in charge, get everyone that's going to be doing these convoys onto our Zello app. First of all, load that app, and then we'll give you special channels for the convoy, and for just general conversation, we've got Alberta Independence on there. So I just want people out there to know. And it doesn't matter where you are. You can be in Canada, the States, or Netherlands, or whatever. Doesn't matter. You're welcome to join that channel, Alberta Independence, and say hi. Say hi to the people. Get to know some of the people that are involved in that. And we need some discussion going on about Alberta independence. So it's good to have a lot of people involved in that. Okay, hang on. I just want to bring my stream up on another window here and turn it on. See, I like to watch and see how many people are watching. And you know what? There is one thing with this platform as opposed to StreamYard that I don't really see a number on here of how many people are watching, even though I'm streaming to multiple platforms here. Oh, hang on. I've got... I do see a number. I see 42. Okay, I see a number of 42. And I'm over on YouTube looking, and I see 25 people on YouTube. So we do have some people watching on the other platforms. I don't know. Let's see. Let me click the button here and do a breakdown. Most people are watching on YouTube. We've got about 27 on YouTube. We have about 15 people watching over on X. We got a couple people watching on Facebook, and a couple people watching over on Twitch. So thanks a lot. Make sure you hit that sub button, like button, or whatever it is that you can do on whatever platform that you're on. And yeah, my numbers are increasing on YouTube, by the way. I've finally hit over 9,300. I used to be like 9,200 and change, and now we're finally hitting 9,315 for subs. We're really trying to hit that 10,000 number, because then I can say, yeah, I've got 10,000 subs on YouTube. So yeah, hit that sub button if you're just watching. I think I'm only on horizontal here on the YouTube. In fact, on all of these things, I think I'm horizontal. I don't know what the stream looks like on some of those vertical format type things. I don't even know if I'm live on Instagram, because I don't see any action over there. We're 25 minutes into the stream here, and I have virtually said nothing except hi to everyone out there. I appreciate everyone popping in here. I was, in fact, watching Al with his broadcast there, Al Munson, doing his black screen broadcasts there, where he can't even put music on there. He goes like, yeah, somebody dropped the outro music, so somebody drops a link to some YouTube video or something in the chat there. Come on, Al, you gotta get with the program. Get yourself some real music, just like the Tommy Temper Show.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Alberta's pride. Hey, hey.
Oh yeah.
Hey, ha, ha.
Okay, do it up right. Quit farting around with the black screen there. Show your face. That's a problem with you trolls out there. You don't even want to show your face on your camera. You're scared. You're actually scared. The reason that you don't show your face on camera is you are scared. Like Catamus Rex, scared. Dean Wall, scared. Basically everyone out there that's a lefty troll, you are deathly scared that you're going to get doxxed, or people are going to make a video about you, like Charlie Cheswick there. He loves making videos about people and bullshit stuff about people, using their pictures and faces and stuff like that, but you guys are so scared that someone might find out who you are. Like, really, honestly, like, this is 2026 and you're like in a dungeon hiding. Well, you may as well be over in Iraq and Iran hiding in a cave. Al, you're in a cave there because you don't even have a light turned on there when you go live. And really, you think that everybody is a racist except you. Why is that? Everyone's a racist in this world except you. Like, really, come on, you guys. You guys are just as racist as anybody else. Everybody in this world is a racist. And you guys, shame on you for trying to call anybody else a racist when you're just as racist as anybody else. You're out there calling people white nationalists and white this and white that and white whatever, And what, you get away with a free race card or something because you're not white? Is that the way it works, But yet a white guy can't say something about anybody else out there. You know what? It's not about color. I don't give a shit what color you are. It makes no difference. And, as far as an immigrant coming into any country, anywhere, it doesn't matter what color you are. If you're an illegal immigrant, you're an illegal immigrant. Or if I'm talking about mass immigration, I could give a shit what color you are. Mass immigration is mass immigration and it doesn't matter what country that you're coming from. If there are too many people coming into a country, then there are not going to be enough services for those people that are coming into the country. Okay? Now, they might be coming in from Russia. They might be coming in from from the UK, or they might be coming in from East India. Okay? It really doesn't matter where you're coming in from. If there's too many of you coming into the country, then you're going to overload the system. There's going to be 10-hour lineups at the hospitals. There's going to be not enough housing for everybody. The housing prices are going to shoot up like crazy because you've got not enough houses and many, many people wanting them. So they're going to bid on the prices and push up the prices of everything. Same thing with rental type properties, that you've got too few numbers of housing out there and too many people going for them. And, Canada doesn't have much for housing and stuff like that, and it's very expensive to build when you're building brand new. Try and build something right now. You're going to have to charge top dollar for anything that you're building brand new. So everything gets to be so expensive. And then you've got the government printing so much money. And I just was looking at something there on the internet. The Canadian government is printing so much money. Oh my gosh, it is just, our inflation is going to be going up. We have the highest inflation for food prices anywhere in the world here in Canada. Go to the store. Like I looked to buy one of these jars. Let's see. In fact, I can't even afford a jar anymore. One of these jars like this, of cashews. I used to buy those cashews for like $6. They're like $23 for a jar of cashews now here in Edmonton. Like, holy shit. It's like even I don't buy those things anymore. I'm like down to buying just regular peanuts now because, my mind is like, man, that's like way too much to spend on a jar of cashews, Got to be buying regular peanuts now or something there. Yeah, same down there. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's but you know what? Your food prices are definitely lower costs down in the States than they are up here in Canada. I will absolutely guarantee you of that. Maybe one of these days I'll go into the supermarket at the No Frills store, which is the bottom basement budget type place to buy stuff, and show you just exactly how expensive that everything is. It has gotten to the point that even buying Mr. Noodles, the cheapest thing, which used to be like 25 cents a package, has skyrocketed up. I don't know how much Mr. Noodles is now, but all this stuff has gotten to be so expensive, it is absolutely ridiculous. And that's why we want to have independence for Alberta. That's right. We've hijacked the Alberta flag for our independence movement, and it is huge. It is big. And the Canadian government is deathly afraid that Alberta is going to separate from Canada. You've got the Liberals and the Dippers, the NDPers, that are absolutely afraid that Alberta is going to separate. They're calling me a separatist. I'm now a separatist. Oh, separatist. Or they even slur it down a little bit. I'm a seppy. So Tommy Temper is a seppy for wanting to separate from Canada. You know what? Badge of honor, seppy. I'm a traitor. You guys that want to separate are a bunch of traitors. You know what? Badge of honor. Okay, I'll take it. Call me a traitor, call me a seppy, call me whatever name you want. But I learned many, many, many years ago out in the school grounds that sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. And you know what? You lefties are really good for throwing those names around and calling us all kind of names. Shame on you. Shame on you for calling me a traitor. Shame on you for calling me a seppy. You know what? And you guys can do whatever you want. Go on your little lefty channels and say whatever the hell that you want about guys like me that want independence from Canada. Because, hey, it's a free world. You can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want, and so can I. You know what I mean? And I don't even consider myself to be an influencer. I'm just a small potato guy, a little guy with having fun on the YouTube. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind or trying to influence anybody. Ryan Jesperson over there, Johnny, if you ever watch this, you're going, oh, Tommy Temper, you think you're an influencer. No, I don't think I'm an influencer. Or you think you're a celebrity. No, I'm not a celebrity. I'm not anything. I'm just a dude with a YouTube channel having a bit of fun on the internet. I'm here for fun. You know what? But my fun has broken out into a realm of being able to say, you know what? This is what I'm thinking, okay? I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that, I'm thinking the other thing. And you don't have to believe anything that I'm saying. You don't have to agree with anything that I'm saying. And really, I could care less, whatever you want, okay? I was talking to a guy on Zello because I got on Zello, and right away, a guy came on there from Ontario, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm really for you guys in Alberta. I'm really for independence. It doesn't matter where we are in Canada. We're being hard done by the Carney Liberal government, and we don't like what he's doing. And I'm all for you guys in Alberta with independence." He's not even in Alberta. he's in Ontario. So, and then I talked to a lady on the street flying her flag there on Sunday, and she says, I've 19 years in Alberta. I'm originally from Ontario, and I absolutely want Alberta independence. So there's lots of people that weren't even born in Alberta that are pro-Alberta independence. Now, myself, I can actually say that I'm one of the few people that, well, actually not one of the few, because I did talk to a lot of people that were born in Alberta. But, you know, there's a lot of people that are streaming, that are, you know, influencer type people that were not born in Alberta, that are like pro-independence. But I, a guy just having fun on the internet, am absolutely pro-independence, and I was born in Alberta. So I have a vested interest. And for those of you that say, and I know there's people out there like you know, a Sandy Foster type person or whatever that's in my chat that'll go, well, if you don't like living in Canada, move to the United States, you know. Well, you know what? I was born here in Alberta, and I believe in democracy. And democracy says that we can vote for what we want. And if we vote for independence, then that is democracy. And if you don't like it, then you don't believe in democracy. You're not part of my democracy at all. You can do whatever you want over in Eastern Canada and, you know, pay for all the debt that Carney is creating, that $100 billion worth of debt and that bullshit stuff. He comes up with this sovereignty fund. Oh, no. Did you know that Canada is $1 trillion, over $1 trillion in debt, okay? It's not like we have a bundle of money sitting somewhere where you can start a sovereignty fund and use that money for a sovereignty fund, you know. And when you think of a sovereignty fund, you think of places like Norway, because Norway has set up a sovereignty fund where they have taken their oil money and put it into a sovereignty fund, and then they invest that money into buying stocks and whatever. Maybe they invest it in real estate, housing, and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, hey, you two, please, nice to see you in there. I'm running EV Mux here as my back end here. I'm running from my camera and mic to OBS Studio, and then OBS Studio, I'm running a virtual camera into EV Mux, and then I'm running EV Mux onto Kick, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, and Instagram at the moment. The only one that I'm not running, because I got to set it up better, is Rumble. I don't know whether I have to pay them some money or something like that to go live on Rumble. Maybe that's the reason I'm not live over there. But anyways, this is the first time I'm actually live using EV Mux. So seems to be working good as far as setting up a broadcast and having it going out to multiple streams and whatever. I'll have to check the streams later to make sure that it's actually going out to all those places. But yeah, nice to see you in there. Thanks for the tips on getting this thing going, and you know, that sort of stuff here. I do appreciate the kind words of wisdom and you guys showing me the ins and outs of the back end of the software. Yeah. So yeah, what you can do with this, I don't have any background set up here with this thing right now, or layers, or any of the fancy stuff that you can do with this software. I can click the buttons and make it do some stuff like this or whatever. But at the end of the day, when I bring guests on and stuff like that, I'll be able to make the different windows for the people and do the stuff like you can do with StreamYard, similar to StreamYard. Yeah, but I do have my logo up there, which is BMux is EV Mux is bringing in that logo, and then on YouTube has that logo down on this corner here. So I see that happening over on the streams. And I have this other thing saying stream ends in 30 minutes, which I don't have that timer turned on and running here at the moment. I'm just gonna go live here. This is actually a test live. I'm testing. This is I didn't put that in my title, but I'm actually testing the software here to see how it's working, and it seems to be working. We've got Crime in America in there. I'm still running my bots in the chat there, running bot tricks that will drop your link if you type in !link. So feel free to do that, just like Crime in America has done there. And yeah, feel free to chat in the chat. And I'm not looking at the chat every second. I see Jim in there, Jim Nalgren in there. Hey, good to see you. Let's see who else is in there. Elm Tree is in there. Hey, Elm. Good to see you, Elm. Masad is in there. We've got Real Red Mama. This broadcast is sponsored by Real Red Mama in the chat. Good to see you, Real Red Mama. Right there. There you going in. Coming in live from New York City. There you go. Looking good today. You're looking marvelous, as they say. Real Red Mama coming in from, New York area there. Okay, well, that sounds really good. Yeah. And by the way, Red was not in jail. He was, as he says, just taking some time off from the internet, okay, and was not in jail, as some of the trolls are saying. So forget about that. People really like to say, stuff like that and spread rumors and whatever. But Red is in good shape. He's doing his own thing and still live and still fighting the other streamers, fighting with Sparky and all the rest of them there. So, having fun on the internet. I'm not really, fighting with anybody. I will say, yeah, what's happening with Queenie, I know you don't want to hear about her. I think that she's being vacated from her house. I don't know what kind of a vacate that is. I know that she's, that the owner of the house, I think, is maybe trying to sell the place. I'm not sure if they're selling the place or what, but I know that she's probably being given notice to leave her home, and I'm not sure when. But if it's at the end of this month, well, she better be going over to Home Depot and buying some boxes to pack stuff up there, get it all packed up before the end of the month, because it's already the 28th here. Let me just pull up my calendar here. How many days have we got? 2 more days. Yeah, well, that's not enough time if she's just sitting there online all the time. I don't know if that move out date is the end of this month, like 12 noon on the 30th or whatever. But I haven't really heard that. Yeah, Al Munson, you're right. I do have a spare, visitor guest room in my house there in Sylvan Lake. So, yeah, and I've got a bunk bed in there too. Oh my God, I don't even think of what might happen to that bunk bed. Yeah, you want to go on that lower bunk there, and yeah, I've got a hot tub there too. But geez, if that happens, I'm gonna have to bail out about half of the water in that hot tub there so that it doesn't overflow. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I don't know what's going on with Queenie's channels there. She claims that they didn't get taken down, but yet the channels are taken down. And why would you take your own channels down? Why would you take your channels down? Why do people take their channels down, or why do people hide their channels? There has to be a good reason for that. So I don't know what the reason for that is, but she took both of her channels down. Then she goes, "Oh, I didn't get my channels taken down. I took them down myself." Why would you do that? Why? I have lots of channels. I have probably about 10 channels. I have never removed any content from my channels. I have never taken any of my channels down or hidden my channels or done anything like that. It's just all I can do is say, yeah, why did you do that? I have no idea why that happened, but she took her channels down, and then now her channels are back up again. And she still has the 22,000 subs on her main channel there. I was actually looking at that. There's this piece of software where you can go in and you can look at somebody's channels. Oh, I think I might have X'd it out of here. Yeah, it's not even on here anymore. But there's software where you can go out and you can look at charts of other channels to see what happened. And she was getting a lot of subs all at one time. And it seemed really weird that those subs were coming in at exact amounts, like X amount of subs on this day, X amount of subs on that day. And they weren't like oddball numbers either. They were like exact numbers, as if the subs were being bought or something. Like maybe she didn't buy the subs herself, but there's always anybody else can buy subs to your channel. Anybody can. So you never know. Maybe somebody else was buying subs. But I think she got most of her 22,000 subs when she was doing the so-called ditch pig type thing, the axe to tax stuff on the side of the highway. And there were lots of people that were, hey, wanting to find out what's happening with this axe to tax and whatever. And she was out there. She was boots on the ground, and she was streaming vertically. And, she definitely got a whole piss load of vertical subs. I was streaming vertically too. I was testing it out. I was getting a lot of vertical subs. But the problem is that if you get vertical subs, they like watching vertical content. And when you stream horizontal, they don't come over and watch at all. They don't like watching horizontal content. They like flipping through the vertical content, So if you want vertical subs, fine, good, but make sure that you're going to stream vertical all the time and don't bother streaming horizontal. It's really, really hard to get horizontal subs. I'll tell you that right now. But the subs that you get horizontal, they tend to stick around and watch your stream for a lot longer. Like they'll watch for a half an hour, whereas a vertical sub might watch you for 30 seconds or a minute or something like that, and then they flick off to another vertical sub, right? That's how it ends up working. Partabanza, hey, good to see you in there. Thanks a lot for popping in. Good a guy that from the days of the convoy that still sticks around, still subbed up to us, and still watches what's going on. Same thing with Real Red Mama. Good to see you in there. YouTube Police in there says, yeah, treat the cops with respect. Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about that. Well, like they're generally here to help you, but you could also think about like this, YouTube Police, that the police actually are hired by the government, right? And they're here to enforce the laws that are enacted by the government. So the police are actually working for the government. And where you see on the side of the vehicles where it says to serve and protect, well, they actually mean to serve the government and to protect the government, against something that the general population might do, to enforce those laws that are on the books and to serve and protect the government. But, on the other hand, yeah, when there's a bad guy trying to break it into your dial what are you going to do? Well, you're going to dial 911, and the police are going to come, and hopefully the police are going to help you. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. But yeah, I actually have a lot of respect for the police, except when the police arrest me for doing something that wasn't illegal, right? I don't like it when that happens, right? But yeah, YouTube Police, you're like in a different aspect there, where you're working in a facility where there's incarcerated people and you're making sure that they're staying incarcerated. So I'm okay with having to do stuff like that. Incarcerated people are not great for being out in the open. And yeah, I remember going to like a mental hospital to where there were absolute people in there that were killers. They had killed people, and they were in there because they kill people. And the staff that are working in there, they go, yeah, careful when you're walking into this open area because that guy there killed 5 people or whatever, and I'm going, holy shit, and I got to go in there to do something or other. And you've got these killers in there. And yeah, I know all about being in that kind of an environment. And that a lot of the people, they look like normal people. You would never be able to tell a normal person from a bad guy because they're just people, at the end of the day. But yeah, everybody has a job. Everybody has a job to do, and we all appreciate that. Now, when Alberta becomes an independent country, we, of course, are going to have to bring in our own police force, because right now we're using what are called in Canada here the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, which is a national force that is spread right across the country, and they operate in most of the provinces, except provinces that have their own police departments provincially, such as the Ontario Provincial Police, right? So what happens is we send money to Ottawa, and they provide us with RCMP that basically look after the country areas, places that are out in the bush, small town Alberta. And we have our own police forces in the major cities, like we have the Edmonton Police Force and the Calgary Police Force. But you go down to Red Deer, which is a medium-sized city, they use the RCMP. That's who polices them, because they still don't have set up a municipal police force. So in Alberta, we use the RCMP. So if we become an independent country, we have to bring in more police and have a provincial police force, and maybe they're going to call it the Alberta Provincial Police, APP. And we do have something in Alberta that are called sheriffs, okay? Because if you go to the provincial grounds in Edmonton here, where the legislative buildings are, it is the sheriffs that actually look after the stuff that goes bad there, you know, like the protests and stuff like that. You see, it's a whole bunch of sheriffs that are looking after that, because that is provincial grounds over there. So it's those same people that are going to become a bigger organization, and they'll probably end up calling them the Alberta Provincial Police. So they're actually working on that right now. They're bringing in more police for some of the rural areas, and they're working alongside of the RCMP right now. And eventually we will have our own police department, our provincial police here for the country of Alberta when we become an independent country. And we're really looking forward to that happening. That's why I'm flying the flag behind me here. That's the Alberta flag. For those of you that have never seen the Alberta flag, let me move over a bit here so that you can see it. And you can see that flag shows the wheat fields right here, because we grow a lot of wheat in Alberta. We have the grasslands here, the foothills, just before the mountains, and we have a lot of beef. You know, they eat the grass and whatever on the grasslands, a lot of that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of oil. You don't see any pump jacks or anything like that there. Let me bring in some pump jacks here so that, yeah, you'll see what what the pump jacks look like here. And, oh, hang on a second here. Let me just move my camera just a hair here. Let me move it the right direction here. I see I've got a little bit of a mark up there. Okay, that's better. Update that and update that. Okay, good. Okay, here. This is a video that I shot myself, and it is right in between Edmonton and Sylvan Lake. Okay. Or Red Deer, I guess. Closer, a little bit closer to Red Deer. But it's just down the road from where I live here. So, and you'll see these all over the place. You'll see like maybe a single pump jack, but you'll also see multiple pump jacks like you see here. I think this is about 6 of them here, if I count correctly. 6 of them all operating on a single oil field right below them there. By the way, each one is pretty much capable, if you count the if you were actually to buy a pump jack, and it does cost literally over $1 million to drill a hole and set one of these up, and apparently each one of them can produce about $80,000 after expenses of operation per month. So this is like about 80,000 right there, right behind me, of amount of money that these things are making per month. That's to the company that ends up setting them up and doing that. Just do a bit of research on that stuff there, you'll see. But anyways, Alberta is a pretty rich province because these things are all over the place. When I'm driving down the highway, I look this way, I look that way, I see pump jacks all over the place. Never mind to the places where you are not driving close to the main highway. And on top of that, we also have just north of Edmonton, where I am here, a place called Fort McMurray. Fort McMurray is the city that is built up really, and just north of Fort McMurray is where the so-called tar sands are. And those of you that are haters of oil are going to call the tar sands, right? If you're not a hater, you're going to call them the oil sands. I affectionately call them the tar sands because it is actually tar. It's tar mixed with sand, mixed with dirt in the ground. And in the old days, they used to take that tar sands and they'd run it through a building where they would steam inject and then pull the tar out of the sands, and then that's called bitumen. That bitumen, you can liquefy it with some other, I don't even know what the name of the stuff is, but with a lighter fluid that they pull out of the bitumen when they put it into the whatever you want to call it, the refinery, and then they make it to the point where they can put it into a pipe and ship it down, right? So you can't just ship the bitumen itself. The other thing is that they're working on other ways to transport the bitumen, because they will also put that liquid bitumen that's being thinned out a little bit into rail cars, okay? And Procar is one of the companies that does that. And the last time I saw one of those trains along the highway going towards Red Deer, I didn't count how many cars there were of bitumen, but there were literally 100 cars of bitumen, and there were like 6 locomotives at the back end of that, and then I don't know, maybe another 5 or 6 locomotives at the front end of that thing, and they were pushing a lot of bitumen in those rail cars down south to the United States is where those things go. But they also tier some of them off towards Vancouver, and we are sending a lot of that stuff in those rail cars, absolutely. But they also, I was reading up on oil, and we're also coming up with a new way of transporting it, where you don't liquefy that stuff, but you make it into something that is more solid, where it's a bit of a solid, and you make it into a brick, and you can put it into something like a rail car, and if it crashes and goes off the rail, it doesn't contaminate a lake or a river or something like that, because it doesn't catch on fire either, because it's more of a solid. So you can make this bitumen into a solid by not liquefying it, and then it's easier to transport. You don't have to worry about the fire or contaminating the environment and stuff like that. So they are coming up with different and better ways to transport it. And then once you can actually put it onto a car, and then you can take those cars and put it onto a ship, and you can transport it over to India or China or some places like that. So there's that brand new technology that's coming out where you don't have to pipeline it, but you can put it into actual cars. So if nobody wants to build Alberta a pipeline to the west coast, then we can just put them into containers. Now, of course, it costs a little bit more than to ship the stuff in a pipeline, but there's that whole thing that's going on where we're able to do that kind of stuff. So even though people say, well, you guys want to separate from Canada and you're landlocked and you're not going to go anywhere. Yeah, we're landlocked. We don't have oceans around Alberta, but we do have rail lines running out. We have pipelines running out. And the United States is nice enough to consider building a pipeline south of Alberta and then west over to the west coast, and then load our oil onto ships in the United States, in either Oregon or Washington, wherever that pipeline ends up. So there's that option. Plus, we also have our XL pipeline, which is completed in Alberta up to the American border. And you guys need to complete that pipeline down in the States, down to the refineries in Texas, in that southern part of the States. And we'll ship you guys more oil. Right now, we're shipping about 4 million barrels a day from Alberta. And you guys actually import 6 million barrels a day in the United States. In other words, you're not self-sufficient, but maybe you are, because you do ship oil to other places. But we do know that you guys produce a lot of oil in the States. You buy 4 million barrels from Canada, and you also import about 2 million barrels a day from, I don't know where, from the Middle East, or from Venezuela, or from some other places, other countries, whatever. But that's a total of 6 million barrels that you're importing a day. But I do know that some of the fuel, or the barrels of oil that you're getting from Alberta, you guys put into refineries. You refine it down and you use it for yourselves for gasoline. And you also ship some of that back up to Eastern Canada the refined product. Like, we're too stupid to build a pipeline. This is how stupid we are up here in Canada. Not me, not us in Alberta, but the people in Eastern Canada and in the other provinces. They're so freaking stupid where they go, no, we don't want a pipeline. Environmentally bad for Canada. No pipeline from Alberta. There's no oil pipeline east at all, right? The only way that they can get our oil is by rail, and I don't know how much is going by rail. There must be some going by rail. But the other way is shipping it down to the States. You guys refine that oil, make the money off of it, and then you ship the end product at full price up to the gas stations in Eastern Canada. Like that's how ridiculous the whole thing is. You know what? I could care less. If that's the way that it ends up, that's the way that it ends up. And it's all because the people in Eastern Canada are too foolish to realize that we have our own resources within Canada. We could do our own thing. We could buy our own oil. We could refine our own oil. All we have to do is put your mind to it and say, okay, we'll authorize a pipeline. A pipeline is okay. But no, what the federal government does in Canada is they go, no more pipelines. There's an actual federal bill that states there are to be no more pipelines in Canada, right? There's a bill. So you can't build a pipeline unless the federal government gives the okay for it. And even if you were to build a pipeline, for example, to the West Coast in British Columbia, there's another bill that says no more ships to be coming onto Canadian, territory or whatever, to load up any oil. There's a moratorium on ships, right? So you can't bring any more ships to load in any oil. You can't, the moratorium on building a pipeline. And there's a cap on the amount of oil that can be produced in the province of Alberta. In other words, you guys are producing this much oil. Here's our cap. No more drilling. No more, coming up with expanding the tar sands or the oil sands and pulling more oil out. Just plain leave it in the ground. It's like we're a bunch of net zero climate zealots, and it's bad for the environment. And but if it's so bad for the environment, why is everyone squawking over the fact that the ships are not picking up oil in the Middle East, in Hormuz? Like what's going on over there? All of a sudden, the oil is not flowing and not going onto the ships over there, and it's all of a sudden, where are all these climate zealots? Where are all the sky is falling and we're all going to die because of all the CO2 in the atmosphere? Where are all those people? They're all screaming, we want oil, we want oil, we want to drive our cars, we want our industries to that use that oil to be able to flourish, and they're all screaming that they don't have oil. And of course, they're looking at Canada and they're going, what the hell's going on? You guys up in Canada are sitting on we have like 100, maybe 200 year supply of oil that we're sitting on, that we can't even drill and get out of the ground because of the cap on the amount of oil production by the federal government, right? It's the federal government that's doing that. And who's running the federal government up here in Canada? It's the Liberals. Since the Liberals have gotten into power, and they've been in power for the last 10 years, they have absolutely stifled the oil industry. Justin Trudeau, on his trip across Canada, said, we need to phase out the oil sands, were the exact words that came out of his mouth. And the way that they're phasing out the oil sands is by capping the amount of oil that's being produced. In fact, they would actually lower that, but they would know that the blowback would be so hard against the Liberal government if they tried to lower the amount of oil production that they might lose power. But as long as the Liberals are running the show in Ottawa, we are wanting to separate from Canada. And that's why Alberta wants to separate from Canada. You guys are actually using Alaska oil, Carrie, because you're loading that oil onto ships, and you're transporting those ships of oil from Alaska along the West Coast. So, there's a moratorium on ships along the West Coast, except for the ships that are transporting oil from Alaska down to the mainland. And I don't know where those ships land, maybe maybe in Seattle or maybe California or somewhere. I don't know. But you guys are shutting down those refineries in California because they want to go like all electric vehicles for everyone. So they don't want gas vehicles down there. They're like very environmentalist down there in California. Same thing with pretty much all of the west coast of the states there. So very environmentally crazy. I hope you guys in the chat there that are like all for shutting everything down, and I hope that you're driving electric cars. Like Al Munson. I hope you're driving an electric car. You better be. Because if you want to be a liberal and you want to be on that side of the fence, you want to be such an environmentalist there. That you better have a plug-in type car. By the way, I was watching a video there yesterday where they actually are coming out with this new charging system, a really super fast charging system, and it's coming. Chinese BYD has developed it, and they can charge a car now. I watched it actually happen on this guy's video. The car had 30% charge in it, and it was I think a BYD type car, because it's got to be one of the newer cars that can utilize this new technology. It uses this blade type battery, and the way the chargers work is that the chargers have a huge battery bank, okay, so that they're constantly storing electricity from the grid, so that you don't have to have massive power lines up to the charger. But what it does is they charge the batteries at the charging station. Now you've got a massive amount, like a megawatt of charging power for the car. And they actually plugged the car in. The car had was 30% charge. They plugged it in, and it charged up to 97%, and it took, I think it was about 8 minutes. And that's pretty damn good, to go from 30% to 97%. That's where it cut off. It actually cut off. It never charged it right up to 100%, but it only charged to 97%. And that's as high as those things go. They're programmed like that. And the reason for that is because if you take your car at 97% and you go downhill, they have regenerative braking and whatever, so you might end up charging your car a little bit more. So you never want to charge your car to 100%. Maybe you do that at your home charge or whatever, but not at these superchargers. And they had a name for it there too. It was something different than a supercharger. But BYD is the company that is manufacturing these things. They've already built about 5,000 of them in China. They got 2,500 of them operating, and they have them already in Europe. And next, they're going to be rolling these things out in the United States. And it's going to be just like these Tesla superchargers, except they're going to be the real McCoy, which is going to be to the point where when you have these massive battery bank superchargers set up all over the place, then you are going to be able to buy an electric car and not sit there for a half an hour or an hour or whatever waiting for the thing to charge. So then, guys like me, you might twist my arm to the point where you go, yeah, this is okay to buy one of these things, because there's going to be chargers where you don't have to wait and sit around forever to charge those things. So look forward to that happening, and then you won't have to use as much of this oil. But keep in mind that oil is used for much, much more than just fuel. Like there's a plant down in Joffre, Alberta, where they take the leftover product from the oil sands and they convert it into these beads that they can ship around the world. And the beads are used for molding plastics, okay? And the beads end up being like a translucent type color. You can add dyes to it to produce any color plastic that you want. And you can make anything from anything that's made out of plastic, like a garbage pan, a pail, a plastic hamper, or any other thing in this world that's made out of plastic. You make out of these beads, and they come from this plant in Joffre, Alberta. In fact, I looked into, if I was to start up a company right now, it would be, from where I live right now, it would absolutely be an injection molding company, have a big warehouse floor set up with a bunch of, injection molding type things, and make some things that you can take this plastic and then make items, and then make items for other people where they need those things. I was actually on Grok, and I was asking Grok, the artificial intelligence, what kind of a company that I could set up, what the profit margins would be on a company that's set up with those kind of things. And really, all you need is a warehouse, and each machine is like in between $80,000 and $100,000 for a high-end, fairly large injection molding machine. Get the raw materials right from Joffrey. Comes in on a pallet, and it's like plastic bead type material. Feed it in, injection mold it, and you could be selling those things where your cost is about $2. Let's say you're making a plastic hamper, for example, and the hamper would cost you a couple bucks to make, and you're able to sell it on eBay for $15 to $20. So that's what the margin is on that kind of a product. Really, if I was younger, and if I was into starting up a company, that would be the kind of a company that I would start. And I could do it right now. You could do it right now, and you could be making hand over fist money off of that kind of a product with that kind of a company. But that's what you can do with this stuff. So it's not just a matter of driving a vehicle, okay? Now, whether or not you're going to have an electric plane to be able to fly across the ocean, I know that they've come up with stuff like that. I don't know how well that's working. I don't see it in real use. But you're always going to have a need for, like diesel for trucking, although you've got Tesla coming up with their electric trucks now, and you've got autonomous trucks where they're, being driven autonomously. You've got all that kind of stuff going on. So it's actually interesting with what's going on. So oil is not just being used to drive a vehicle from point A to point B. More and more electric vehicles, and I'm not against electric vehicles. I'm a techie kind of a guy. I like playing with new tech. I would probably own an electric car if the new superchargers were there to where I could charge the vehicle up in 10 minutes, okay? If you only have to wait 10 minutes to charge a car, that's acceptable. That's just a little bit longer than gassing up your car. Because when I go to Sylvan Lake, I usually gas up my vehicle from a quarter full to completely full. Probably takes me about 3 to 5 minutes or whatever to fill the thing up. Go inside of the 7-Eleven, buy a sport drink or something like that, maybe a little bite to eat or whatever, So if my lifestyle doesn't change at all to where I'm able to drive something like that, okay, fine. The only problem is that Alberta is such a large province, and a lot of times you go to places where you're not going to find a super duper fast charger. Like, for example, if I go west from Sylvan Lake towards the Rocky Mountains for go to a trip down there, I'm not going to find superchargers anywhere where there's nothing there. There's just a small town somewhere where you got country hicks in there with shotguns and fishing rods and stuff like that, and everyone's driving a gas pick-em-up truck, you don't see electric vehicles out there at all, or you're driving out to the middle of nowhere where there is no gas station, there is nothing, so you got to have enough fuel with you to be able to get there and back to wherever you're going. Like, I do go places where just an electric vehicle is just plain not practical, and you guys probably have places like that out in the bush all over the United States as well, if you live outside of the big city. But as far as in the big city, hey, they're okay. If you're only going to drive, 50 kilometers or 50 miles in a day, and you've got a 300-mile charge on your vehicle, and you'll be able to come home, and you're able to charge it at your home, fine, they're okay. But there are lots of places where you can't charge at home. Like if you live in an apartment, yeah, you don't have a 220 charger available to top up your charge every night. Sure, you have a parking stall, but you're lucky to find a 110-volt plug-in. The electrical grid infrastructure is just not there to be able to plug in a vehicle to 220 all the time. You know that. I know that. We all know that. That has to change dramatically. And we have to look at how are we producing the electricity. And probably the best way to produce electricity is with nuclear reactors, with small-scale nuclear reactors. So if we're able to build enough of those and produce what is known these days as clean electrical energy, which I guess you might be on the fence as to whether or not nuclear is clean, because when you're done with the nuclear fuel and it's spent, well, what do you do with that? Like, where do you put it? Well, just take it over to Nevada where they're exploding nuclear bombs and it's all contaminated already. Yeah, okay, maybe that's put it all in that spot, stockpile it all in Nevada. That's maybe where the place is to do it. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, anyways, that's my rant on that kind of stuff. On Alberta here, we have, let me see here if I bring in this window here. We have this big thing that's going to be happening in Alberta. It's called the debate Alberta can't ignore. The intellectual and legal battle for Alberta's future. Independence versus Confederation. And to explain what that is, independence is Alberta wants independence, wants to become its own country. Confederation is we have a confederation of provinces where all the provinces are all together under the flag, the Canadian flag. And that's what we call Confederation up here in Canada. The Confederation of Provinces within the country of Canada. And we've got Keith Wilson, who is like pro independence, as well as I am. I'm on Keith Wilson's side. And, I've actually got a picture somewhere on my computer here of Jason Kenney and I standing beside each other at a Jason Kenney rally before he became premier of the province of Alberta. But Jason Kenney is a federalist. He's not the premier of our province anymore. He got basically demoted, and now we have a lady by the name of Danielle Smith that's running the show in Alberta, our premier Danielle Smith. And Jason Kenney is a federalist, okay? Maybe he has eyes on becoming the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, unknown, but he is absolutely against Alberta becoming an independent country. And the two of these guys are going to have a couple of, debates in May. Let's see if we can see here the issues. Oh, well, they're talking about the issues and stuff in that little meme there. Let me see if we can make that a little bit larger here. No, I can't. I can make it smaller, but not larger. But anyways, yeah, they're going to be debating on the various things that are happening. The economy and prosperity are the issues, the resources and the sovereignty of our resources, equalization payments. And equalization payments are like the taxes that the federal government takes us from Alberta, they give to other provinces unfairly, as thought of unfairly by a lot of Albertans. Law and Constitution. Right now we're utilizing the Constitution of Canada, and we will come up with our own Constitution in Alberta if we become independent. The national identity and self-determination. Yeah, okay, so I'm a Canadian. Okay, that's my national identity. But I also have my provincial identity where I'm a redneck, okay? My Alberta redneck, okay? That's what I am. I'm a redneck. I'm a proud redneck. I'm a proud trader. I'm a proud separatist, whatever the hell the Federalists want to call us here in Alberta. Yeah, I'll take it with as a badge of honor and go, okay, you guys want to sling names at us here. Sling them all day long. We're all used to the lefties, and really, we're used to the lefties calling us every name in the book. Like I've heard them all, and yeah, you know what? It's not illegal for you to call me stupid names, whatever. It's not against the law. And whatever I do and whatever I say is not against the law. And if I say something that you don't like, that doesn't give you the right to call me a bigot or a racist or a misogynist or a homophobe or I don't know, whatever other names that you can come up with. And you guys just sling names like crazy. or a pedophile or whatever, even though, or a molester, and you lefties, people on the internet especially, love to call people names. You love it. It's like it's in your DNA. I think you wake up in the morning and go like, oh man, yeah, let's see, who can I call a racist today, or who can I call this name or that name, or who can I call out today, yeah, I'm going to be just like a hawk sitting on the fence looking for somebody that I don't like and I don't like what they're saying, and I'm going to call them every name in the book. This is the way the world actually works. Yeah, we got Tyson Hook in the chat there. Hey, good to see you. Yeah, we got Michael in there. Michael Wolf, good to see you in there. Herman the Tosser. Yeah, what happened to that queefy woman? Well, basically, I banned Queefy from my channel, and then I actually unbanned everybody. I banned a whole bunch of people from my channel. But you know what happens is when you ban someone from your channel, they go away, okay, and they think that they're banned, even though I banned them for a couple days and then unbanned them. So Queefy, you're not banned in my channel. Let's see, who else? Catamus Rex, you're not banned from my channel. Sandy Foster, you're not banned. Al Munson, you're not banned. You guys go, oh, Tommy banned me, and wait. But I'm like, I ban people because they're being an idiot in the chat usually and being disrespectful, or calling people names like I just said there. Like you start calling in my chat people pedophiles and stuff like that. Well, I'm not going to put up with that. I don't care who you're calling out. Go over to your channel and do it in your channel, but don't do it here. Yeah, she imploded into her gash. Yeah, elm tree, exactly. Yeah, or stuff like that. Okay, but anyways, there's going to be this big debate coming on here between Keith Wilson and Jason Kenney, and it should be epic. I'm really waiting for this to happen, and hopefully I can restream the debate when it happens and watch along with everybody, and it should be epic, absolutely epic when that happens. So we're absolutely looking forward to that happening. So look forward to that doing its thing. Let me just come up with some stuff that I've seen on the internet here lately and that I have reposted. So let me see here. Oh, there's this thing that actually happened where I was live on the internet, and let's see here. Move it forward a little bit here. There we go. Okay, bring it in here. Okay, so this is when I was live, and we had a little bit of a rally going on. Sorry for the jitteriness on this here. I had a bad connection. Our cell service is not that great here in Edmonton. But I was on a flag wave thing. It's hard to see, but the car in front of me has a couple of flags waving there. And there was about 2 blocks worth of cars with Alberta flags on them, and we were in a bit of a convoy. This was on Sunday, and you can actually see how much snow there is on the ground there. But look at that. The snow on the ground there compared to today. You can see just a skiff of snow outside my window here today, whereas on Sunday, there was actually quite a bit of snow still left. So we're having a bit of warm weather here. And yeah, if you go back in my streams, take a look. I was having some audio trouble because I was using a remote mic and it wasn't working properly. But then I ended up unplugging it and getting some audio in there. So anyways, yeah, that was something that happened on Sunday. And that got broadcast over on X and on YouTube. Actually, just and onto Facebook, onto those 3 things. So that worked out pretty good. Oh, hang on here. Let me go back over to my thingamajiggy here. We're live. Give myself a little heart. Let's see. And we've got this thing happening. Let me bring this one up here. We've got here, Alberta Radio says Operation Secure Independence. Make sure to RSVP for this event on Wednesday. So Wednesday, April the 29th, which is tomorrow, this is going to be happening. Check it out. It's happening over at 2104 156th Street in Edmonton. And it is called Operation Secure Independence. And let's just take a look at this here. Centurion Project. Fortis et Liber, April the 29th. Doors open at 6. Speakers begin at 7 at the Edmonton Oilfield Technical Society. Oilfield type stuff here going on here. Okay, so we've got some guest speakers. You got Daryl Mark, David Parker. David Parker is pretty big on X. Jason Levine, he's a YouTuber. And Marty up north, he's on X. He also appears on various YouTube channels, and some kind of an event put on by the Centurion Project. So this is happening on Wednesday. I should actually go to this event on Wednesday. Apparently you have to get something ahead of time. If you go to thecenturionproject.ca /event-details, you can find out more information about that. So yeah, that's one of the things that's happening. So that's with regards to Alberta independence. Let's see. Oh, this one you'll like. Well, this is where I don't like anything what I would call racist. Okay. I don't like splitting the races. I don't like seeing where there's special offers for people that are native or people that are colored or whatever. And in fact, matter of fact, I never see the federal government or the provincial government coming out with something like, we announce $10 million for white people. You know what I mean? I have never yet seen anything like that ever in my whole life. But I absolutely see stuff like this all the time, and it just irks me. It's splitting. It's splitting the people. It's splitting races. And to me, this is like a racist thing, okay? This is absolutely racist here. And if you look closely here, actually, this is Maxime Bernier, who is the leader of the PPC party, says, stop dividing Canadians by race. I would agree with him 100%. No more racist programs. So he's calling this a racist program. I would call this a racist program. And I have a full right as a white person, which I don't like to race bait or call people racist or anything like that. But this is a racist program. If Ottawa is to announce $8.6 million for Black community initiatives, well, where's the money for white community initiatives? Where's my money, right? How about some money for me? No, there's never any money for me because, yeah, the white people are the racist people, and so we have to give money to other people. And who's a black person? Well, what if you're brown? What if you're brown? Is that money for you? Do you have to be like pure black? Like, what's this all about? And why do they announce that and use the term black? Like, this is totally ridiculous here. Totally ridiculous. Oh, but look at who's standing behind her. Here you have a toned person here making that announcement, and you do have another toned person in the back here. But this guy looks pretty white on the left. The lady right behind her, she looks pretty white. And then you got two white people over on the right side there. It actually looks like there's more white people than black people there. You got two black people there. You know, this is all race baiting. And I wish that the federal government would stop it. Stop trying to give money to special interest groups. There's $8 million of my money. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a taxpayer in Canada. And that money is coming straight out of my pocket and your pocket if you're a taxpayer in Canada. And it is absolutely not going to you. It's not going to me. It's going only to Black community initiatives. And I wish that the government would stop it. Stop with the racist program. Stop being racist and stop dividing everybody up like this with this kind of crap. I don't like it, and there are an awful lot of other people that don't like it. Why are you taking my tax money and you're not providing services for things that I'm involved in. The government, especially the federal government, you should be taking our tax money that you're taking from every Canadian, and you should be putting it back into everybody's community, not special interest people like this. This is wrong to do that, and this is another reason why I am pro-Alberta independence, so we can get away from this kind of stuff. This is a bad federal government for doing stuff like this, and for dividing up the people in Canada. Stop dividing Canadians by race. You can see that's exactly what Maxime Bernier says there, right there. You know, and of course the lefties are going to say, oh, well, Maxime Bernier is just a racist, you know, for saying something like that. And you're just a racist, Tommy Temper, for saying stuff like that. No, all I am is just a guy that is pointing out that my tax dollars are not going for things that will benefit every Canadian. Why not do stuff for Canadians instead of for special black interest groups and stuff like this? This is like stuff that you might have seen when BLM was rioting across the country, that you'd see stuff like this start to come out. It's like, oh, the black... And meanwhile, people donated a whole bunch of money to BLM. And what did they do with the money? The leaders of the group ended up absconding with the money, buying mansions and all kind of shit like that, and basically just wasting that money. So shame on the federal government for doing this. And again, this is another reason why Alberta and the people in Alberta need to separate from the federal government, from the federal country of Canada, so that we don't have our tax dollars going towards foolishness like this, trying to just divide up the country. Okay? We're sick and tired of this kind of stuff. Honestly, really, you know, and you can call me a racist all day long, but federal money and provincial money should not be given to any kind of a special interest group whatsoever, but should be divvied up for the best interest of the entire country. If you're going to take money out of my pocket, it should be coming back to me, or back to every Canadian, not to special interest Canadians. That is plain wrong to do that, and all I can say is shame on the federal government for doing stuff like that. Mark Carney has come up with, apparently some people are calling it a new pyramid scheme, which he's calling the Sovereign Wealth Fund. If you've ever heard about this thing, he just came out with this yesterday. Okay, so the federal government has come up with this Sovereign Wealth Fund. What the hell is it? Some people are saying it's going to increase Canada's deficit, and it's some kind of a scam or something. Yeah, it probably is, because like I said earlier in my broadcast, that the Canadian Canada is $1 trillion in debt. In other words, they've spent $1 trillion and they don't have the money to pay it back. And we're printing a whole bunch of money. Hopefully I come up with that bit here on how much money we're actually printing. But we are printing a shitload of money. And of course, that money is being used to pay the debt on that $1 trillion, which is probably borrowed money. How can you be in debt $1 trillion unless you borrowed it from somebody and you have to pay that money back? So that's what's going on here. Here we have Melissa Landsman, co-deputy leader of the official opposition, which is the Conservative Party, talking about this sovereign wealth fund that Carney set up yesterday. With apparently he's going to get $2 billion from somewhere. Where is he going to get the $2 billion from? Well, he's probably going to borrow it, put it into that fund, and then he's going to try and get you and I to contribute our hard-earned money to this fund, and try and get, maybe he's trying to get some oil money from Alberta, some of this money to put into the so-called sovereign fund, which us here in Alberta don't want to have anything to do with his sovereign fund, because it's all bullshit. So let's hear about this sovereign fund deal here. And yeah, let's hear what Melissa Landsman has to say about this whole thing here. It's all bullshit. Oh, hang on here.
Got to run a surplus. You've got to have wealth in the system. It's not really a sovereign wealth fund. In order to have a sovereign wealth fund, you've got to run a surplus. You've got to have wealth in the system to put in that fund. It's actually a debt fund that's going to be paid for by Canadians against their will. And frankly, there's a whole lot of things that you can do with $25 billion, like cut taxes and cut regulation to actually get things built in this country. It's not really
Okay.
a sovereign wealth fund. In order to have a sovereign wealth fund, you've got to run a surplus. You've got to have wealth in the system to put in that
Yeah.
fund.
Yeah. So he's got a sovereign wealth fund that he's making with debt. Like, how stupid is that? That's Mark Carney, who's running our country, right? We don't have the money we don't have the money. We are $1 trillion in debt. And Mark Carney has spent $100 billion since he was elected in Canada. And now he's coming up with this debt fund that he's calling a wealth fund. Like, he's so stupid. He keeps on saying, well, we're not spending money, we're investing money. He coins all these things, and it's a catalyst program, where we're taking some money from here and putting it over there, blah blah blah. A catalyst where we're making more out of what we have. No, you're not. You're spending money. Spending is spending. Spending is not investing. It's spending. And if you're going to spend my money over this so-called wealth fund, it's borrowing. You're borrowing money from somewhere to put into this wealth fund, and it's not good. It's like this thing says here. Mr. Sunshine Baby says it's Mark Carney's new pyramid scheme, which he's calling the Sovereign Wealth Fund. So we're pissed off with that whole thing. That's not what we signed up for with being part of Canada here. That's not why we're in Confederation. Absolutely not. Dear Canada, coming from Alberta, it's over. We're taking back what's ours. We carried more than our share. You ignored our voice. You spent our wealth without our consent. We're reclaiming our industries, our policies, our future, and we wish you luck. We wish you luck for sure. We're done here in Alberta, the people of Alberta. This is what it's all about here. We're taking back what's ours, okay? That's where we're at here. We're honking our horn. We're honking our horn and saying we're taking back what's ours. And, yeah, you can shove it, okay? We're taking it back. Where's my PA horn here? I need my PA horn. Yeah, we're taking it back. We're honking our horn here in Alberta, and we're taking back our wealth, okay? We're separating from Canada. Yeah, and we're honking our horn out here, and we're taking it back, okay? We're becoming an independent country. And I should bring my PA horn out to the event on next Monday, because they're bringing all of those signatures that they've collected from all over Alberta. They're bringing them all back to Edmonton here, to the legislative building, and they're going to be submitting them to the provincial government, to Premier Daniel Smith. And I'm going to bring my megaphone out there to the event. I'm going to bring my camera out there, and I'm going to do a video. Now, I got to update my logo on here. That there should say F. Carney. Get rid of that F. Trudeau thing there. But it also says I love oil and gas on here. Do you see that? I love oil and gas. And one of the things about this megaphone is that this is a very famous megaphone, because this megaphone in 2019 went in the convoy to Ottawa, the oil and gas convoy. This megaphone went all the way from Edmonton to Ottawa, and then this megaphone went to Ottawa during the famous 2020 convoy to Ottawa for the mandates, to get rid of those mandates. So this megaphone went twice to Ottawa, okay? So this is probably the most famous megaphone in the world for having traveled twice across Canada to go to with two different convoys, and it has also done a lot of blasting at a lot of political events. Especially I've yelled at Antifa, you bunch of SOBs, okay? Yeah, we've yelled at Antifa and everybody with this thing here. This has gone to a lot of protests, and this is probably one of the more famous megaphones in the world, okay? And I will be bringing this to the legislative grounds on Monday, and we will be yelling pro-independence slogans with this megaphone. So look forward to that, okay? Thank you very much. Oh my, that hurts the ears. Okay, so there you have it. There's the most famous megaphone in the world that went twice to Ottawa. Well, Canadian megaphone, maybe not in the world, but Canadian megaphone. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Crab in America, everybody else in there. Hopefully you heard that properly and it wasn't too loud. And the horns are honking all around me here because it's Alberta independence that we're like big on here. We love the oil, we love the pump jacks, and we love Alberta independence. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Woohoo. Again, this song was written by me, and this song is about Alberta independence. It's pro-Alberta independence, and I'm actually going to put this song on the USB thingamajiggy and bring it out to the Ledge building on Monday, and I'll be playing this song over my megaphone. Listen to the words of this. I wrote this song. Of course, I got Suno, S-U-N-O, to produce this song for me. So it's artificial intelligence as far as the singing and the music track behind it. But the words were written by me. Listen up. And this is what I think.
In the shadow of the Rockies, where the wild winds blow, Albertans rise up, tired of the status quo. Oil sands pumping black gold, beef on the grill so fine, grain fields waving golden, canola blooming in the sunshine. But Ottawa's taking our billions, unfair equalization gain, sending it east to Quebec while we shoulder the blame. No more pipelines blocked, no more carbon tax chains. We're done with the feds, breaking free from their reins. Alberta freedom, ringing loud and true. Woo-hoo. Sovereignty calling, independence coming through.
Aha.
No liberalism,
No way.
stealing our way of life.
That's right.
Albertans stand tall, cut
We're standing
loose
tall.
from the strife.
Let's go.
Mountains watching as we claim our own land. Freedom for our families.
Freedom.
Rifle in hand.
That's right.
Alberta freedom.
Woohoo.
Let the anthems roll. We're building our nation. Forevermore.
Forevermore. Absolutely. We can
From
do
the
it.
prairie to the peaks, where the eagles soar high. We're sick of the traitors calling us traitors, that's a lie. Equalization's a thief, stealing our hard-earned pay, while they push their agendas, turning night into day. Beef ranchers and farmers, grain silos stand proud, oil rigs turning profits under Alberta's cloud. No more begging for ports, landlocked but strong we stand. We'll negotiate our future with the world in our hand.
Alberta freedom.
Ringing loud and true.
That's right.
Sovereignty calling, independence.
We want to be independent.
No more woke liberation, stealing our way of life.
Sick and tired.
Albertans stand tall, cut loose from the strife. Rocky Mountains watching as we claim our own land. Freedom for our families with a rifle in hand.
Salty.
Alberta freedom, let the anthems roll. We're building our nation.
You can call me a traitor all day long. I don't care. Because freedom, democracy will rule.
Self-determination's all right. Like Ukraine from the Soviets, we'll fight through the night. No more sending our wealth to fund their endless schemes. Our pensions rising, fulfilling our dreams. Tired of the liberals, their rules and their games. Albertans awakening, falling out on names.
Come on with us. Don't be left behind. Don't be a hater. Come on, move to Alberta. This is where it's happening. If you're in Canada, be with us, or you'll get left behind.
Canola fields yellow, beef herds grazing free, oil sands fueling futures as far as the eye can see. We're Albertans first, with hearts full of fire. Separation's the answer, lifting us higher. No more being the wallet for a broken confederation. Freedom's our birthright, our declaration. Alberta freedom, ringing loud and true. Sovereignty calling, independence coming through. No more woke liberalism, stealing our way of life. Albertans stand tall, cut loose from the strife. Rocky Mountains watching as we claim our own land.
Absolutely.
Our families with the rifle in hand. Alberta freedom, let the anthems roll. We're building our nation forevermore.
Woohoo!
Alberta freedom,
We're doing it.
yeah,
And Brett, you're going to come with us. You may not like it. You'll be voting no there, Brett, but you'll be one of the few, because there are the haters out there that love the establishment. Don't try and say, "Oh, I'm trying to propagate the establishment" or something like that. No, the federal government is the establishment. We're trying to get away from the establishment. You know what I mean? We're trying to go one step further and get away from what's happening. You know, these are some of the reasons here. I jotted down some of the reasons why Alberta should not be in Canada, or why Alberta should become independent. And these are just some of the reasons, okay? Because right now we have a loss, okay, by way of federal transfer payments called equalization, where Alberta generates a lot of income right now, okay? But what happens to that income? Basically, it's taxed by the federal government, okay? So we send a lot of our money to the federal government, to Ottawa, and then Ottawa sends it to Ontario and Quebec and the other provinces, the Atlantic provinces, okay? And meanwhile, we end up with a $9 billion deficit here in Alberta. Does that sound right? That doesn't sound right to me. That sounds like you're sending a whole bunch of money somewhere else, and meanwhile, you don't have enough to survive yourself. That's plain wrong. So we got to get rid of that. Alberta independence will stop that from happening. Because guess what? Brett, if you work building a deck somewhere, and if you get paid under the table, yeah, okay, well, that goes, all your money goes in your pocket if you're doing a job and getting paid under the table. But if you actually are legitimately working, okay, and you're legitimately paying taxes, you're going to be paying so much federal tax out of your pocket, it's going to be going to Ottawa. So, people go, hey, what happens? I work for, and I make, let's say, $50,000. It's like $20,000, almost half of it goes in taxes. A little bit goes to provincial tax, yes, but the majority of your tax goes to the federal government, okay? You won't have to pay that. You won't have to pay that. You'll end up with thousands and thousands of dollars in your pocket, Brett, every year, okay? Because you won't have to send that money to the federal government. And guess what? We won't have a GST in Alberta, which is 5% of every damn thing that you buy. When you gas up your truck that says Palestine on the back of it, okay, at the gas station, you actually pay federal tax on that gas. You pay a clean fuel tax on there. It's like a carbon tax, call it whatever you want, but it's still a carbon tax, and you, on top of that, you pay a provincial tax, which we'll get rid of that provincial tax if we become our own country. And you also pay, on top of all of those taxes, you pay the GST, 5% on top of everything else. You won't have to pay any of those taxes, okay? So you will end up with, guess what? Whenever you fill up your truck, bucks in your pocket. You won't have to be paying all those taxes. Hey, what about RCMP? Right now, we're sending literally millions of dollars, and I don't know what the exact amount is, but Alberta sends millions of dollars to the federal government to provide RCMP policing in Alberta. And you can bet that all of the money that you're sending to Ottawa, you're only probably getting half of it back in Alberta in services by the RCMP, okay? Because they're keeping that money in Ottawa for all the bureaucrats and stuff like that, and all the bean counters that decide what to do with that money that we're sending there. We don't have to send that money out of our province whatsoever. We can set up our own police force, and we can do our own policing right here in our own province. Okay, what about people say, oh, well, you're going to lose your Canadian passport if you become an independent country? No, you will still have a Canadian passport because you were born in Canada. Okay, so if you have a Canadian passport right now, hey, you will always be a Canadian. Okay, just because you're now living in a separate country, that doesn't mean that you're going to lose your Canadian passport. So don't even worry about that. Okay, and you can still apply for another passport again because you are still a Canadian citizen. You will always be a Canadian citizen, but you will also, if Alberta becomes its own country, you will be a citizen of the country of Alberta. And guess what? Alberta will have its own passport, and you're going to go, oh, yeah, but that passport won't be recognized by other countries. It absolutely will. It will, because other countries will go, where are you from? Oh, Alberta? Okay, yeah, no problem. Stamp your passport. Welcome to Argentina or wherever it is you're traveling, because it will be a passport that will be recognized by other countries. You know that, hey Brett, you know how Carney made Palestine a recognized entity, okay, by Canada, or where Carney stood up and said, yes, we recognize Palestine, right? Well, it will be exactly the same thing. If he's going to stand up and recognize Palestine, Carney will also have to stand up and recognize Alberta as a country. The same as all the rest of the countries will also all stand up and go, hey, we recognize Alberta as an independent country, and welcome to France or UK or wherever that you might be traveling, okay? Don't even worry about that, okay? What about trade barriers? People are saying, well, there's going to be trade barriers against Alberta by the rest of Canada if you guys separate. Guess what? There are already trade barriers. There's milk cartels over in the eastern part of Canada that don't allow us to produce our own milk here because they've got a cartel. Chickens are, I heard of a farmer in Alberta that got arrested for trying to sell chickens or eggs and stuff like that. There's already cartels and barriers and stuff like that. And you hear Trump complaining about those cartels and stuff like that are in Canada. And yeah, they already exist. There's already barriers for alcohol and stuff like that flowing across borders. Those things will always be there. It'll be like, yeah, you want to trade with other provinces? Fine. You either work out trade deals with them or you live with the existing barriers that are already there. What about our currency? If we become an independent country, we're going to need a new currency, aren't we? Are we still going to use the losing value Canadian buck? Are we still going to use the toonie? Are we going to make our own money? Well, the moment or the day that we separate or become independent, we, of course, can decide what we want to do. Are we going to use the Canadian dollar or are we going to use the American dollar? Hang on, I have to sneeze. Hang on. Staying in Canada is making me want to sneeze here. Or we can use the American dollar. You know, I'm not adverse to using the American dollar. The American dollar is pretty strong. All we do is just go to the bank and I just transfer all of my Canadian money, which is only worth like about 70 cents to the American buck, and it seems like it's falling all the time, and it will be falling all the time because stupid Carney is printing more money as time goes on. I actually have a meme here that I was looking at that talked about the dollar. and what's going on with the dollar. Hang on, if I can bring it up here. I wish I had this right where I could pop it right in here as I was talking. But I ran across a little meme here, or a little post that somebody posted about money. Oh yeah, printing money. Here it is, right here. Let me bring it right onto the screen here. Okay, the printing press is on fire. This is by Market Media, okay? And whether this is true or not, I don't know, but this is on X, so I assume it's something like that. Canada's printing money surged 32% year over year. Okay, last year, Canada printed $19.3 billion, okay? And this year, $25.5 billion, okay? What does that mean? What does that mean to you and I in Canada here? More money equals less value. That's why your cost of living is in a death spiral, okay? Hang on, put it right there so you can actually see it. What that means is that when a country prints more money, okay, and remember, in the good old days, you used to back the every dollar with gold, right? Where you'd have gold in reserve so that each dollar had a certain amount of gold in reserve for the dollar. And then countries got rid of this so-called gold reserve, which was a stupid thing, and they only did it because they didn't have enough gold, so they couldn't print the money based on how much gold they had. So now the dollar is based on nothing, absolutely nothing, and the government can print as much money as they want. So let's say that they print a lot of money. What does that mean? That means that any money that you have is worth less and less and less. It has less buying power. And what it means is that the cost of everything goes up in price. The cost of your vehicles, the cost of your stuff that you buy in the store, everything costs more money when the government prints more money. And you can see that last year they printed $19.3 billion. This year they've already printed $25 billion. And you want to know why? Because Mark Carney is spending $100 billion this year. Where are they getting the money from? Are they borrowing it from Japan or China or the United States? Apparently, it looks like they're just running the printing presses and printing more money. And you know who's going to be hurt by this printing of money? You and me and the taxpayer. Anybody that has to use any kind of Canadian money to buy anything. Now, I'm scared of this happening. And this is another reason for Alberta independence, because I don't want money that I have to be worth so much less and less and less. And you know what? When this happens, you're going to see the, where the Canadian buck is worth 70 cents in relation to the American dollar. Well, that's going to drop. It'll drop down to 69 cents, 68 cents, 65 cents, It'll be worth less and less and less compared to other currencies in the world because of all the money that you're printing. Okay, this is what actually causes inflation. Printing money causes inflation. Remember that. Okay, and that what countries do is they do that because the federal government spends so much money, and the only way that they can come up with money. And remember, Canada is $1 trillion in debt, more than $1 trillion in debt right now as we speak. Why is it that you guys don't know anything about this stuff? What, am I the only person in the world that really follows this stuff and sees what's going on and understands what's going on? Most people in Canada don't give a shit about this stuff. They don't care about this stuff, and they just go, oh yeah. But you hear more people right now saying how expensive it is to live in Canada. Printing all this money year after year after year is making everything so much more expensive in Canada. This is one of the big number one, probably the number one reason why it's so expensive to live in Canada. And you have these immigrants that are coming into the country. When you're paying for them, when you're paying them $2,500 a month, the government pays them when they come in here. They're living high on the hog because it's like they're living on welfare, And most of the people that come in here don't work. They just live on the welfare. So they don't really care. They're getting free money and it's free for them. And they go to the store and buy stuff, and it doesn't no sweat off their back because they didn't have to work for that money. But the moment that anybody that comes to Canada as an immigrant tries to find a job, and has to pay for their $1,000 or $2,000 a month in rent, and wants to buy a vehicle and wants to buy some food, why do you think there's 2 million people, in Canada going to food banks as we speak? 2 million people of our 40 million people in Canada have to get their food from food banks. Why is that? Is it because they're making lots of money? No, it's because they don't have any money. They can't make ends meet. And a lot of the people of those 2 million are people that actually have jobs, right? But they don't have enough income after paying rent and utilities and cell phone and cable TV and all the rest of that crap. They don't have enough to put food on their plate, and they have to go to the food bank to get stuff like that. Okay, that's quite the rant on just this one point. Currency, okay? Currency. The fact that the federal government is just printing, and the printing presses have gone out of control. And, I think that Alberta needs to get completely away from the Canuck buck, because it's worthless, and it's losing value every minute that we speak because of those printing presses printing up shit like crazy. Okay. What about the loss of the Bank of Canada? Okay, if we become independent, we will lose the Bank of Canada. Who gives a shit about the Bank of Canada? They're doing a crappy job printing a whole bunch of money and allowing the federal government to spend so much money that we don't care about that. We don't care. We will come up with our own Bank of Alberta. We already have the Treasury branch, Alberta Treasury branch in Alberta. We'll have our own bank. We'll set up our own Bank of Alberta, our own banking system, or we will just plain utilize American money, right? American money is a lot more stable than Canadian money, and is also looked upon favorably all across the world. You can take Canadian money in any country in the world, and people will gladly take it, and they will convert it to whatever money they have in their country. Or we can come up eventually. We don't have to do it right away, but we can eventually have our own Alberta dollar, right? We can make our own dollar. And because we will be one of the richest countries in the world, we will have an extremely strong dollar. It will be stronger than the American dollar. It will be like the whatever they use in the Middle East with oil-rich countries over there, dirhams or whatever their currency over there is. What about defense? What about the military? With the military, here's another thought on this too, is that when Quebec wanted to separate, okay, they padded the numbers, because what they did is the military, any people that were Quebecers that were in the military, when the vote was happening for independence in Quebec, they brought back all of those people that were in the military from Quebec. They brought them back to Quebec specifically so that they could vote no for independence in Quebec. And do you think that's going to happen in Alberta? Absolutely. You're going to see the federal government, now I can't say absolutely, but you can bet that probably they're in the back of their minds thinking, we're going to bring back all of the soldiers that are all across Canada and over in places overseas. We're going to bring them all back to Alberta if they're born in Alberta, and if they can vote in Alberta for independence. The military will bring all of their people back to Alberta to vote no for independence, because probably those people that are in the military are going to think in their minds, well, I'm going to lose my job because, I'm born in Alberta, and I don't want Alberta to become its own country. And you know what? The federal government and the military will actually do that. They've got that up their sleeve to do that, because the word is that they actually did that in Quebec. Now, again, it's secondhand info, but I was talking to somebody about that here in the weekend, about what actually happened in Quebec, and they mentioned that happened, and that is potentially going to happen in Alberta here too. So look at the federal government doing whatever the hell they can to pad the numbers of the people that are going to be voting in Alberta, to make sure that the federal government gets as many people to vote no for independence. And the military is one of the ways that they potentially can be doing that. And the other thing is, anybody in Alberta that joined up to the RCMP. RCMP is a federal entity, and if you're a member of the RCMP, well, you can work for the RCMP in Quebec, or in BC, or in Alberta, or in the Maritime provinces. Are the RCMP going to do that too? Are they going to bring everybody in the RCMP back to Alberta in order to vote and try and get them to vote no for independence? Because you know what? You're going to lose your job in the RCMP in Alberta, because Alberta will kick the RCMP out of here and form our own police force within Alberta, the Alberta Provincial Police, or the Canada, or it's not Canada, but the Alberta Country Police. So it'll be the Alberta Police, APD, Alberta Police Department, for the rural areas. And then you're going to have the Edmonton Police Department or Calgary Police Department. So anyways, they're going to try and get the people that joined up with that Canadian tampon army, where they have tampons in the men's washrooms in the army. And by the way, we'll get rid of that shit too here in Alberta. There will be no more tampons in the men's washrooms. I don't care who the hell is putting them in there. We will throw those tampons right out. We don't want any tampon military people in Alberta here at all. If you need tampons in the men's bathroom, honestly, how bad does it get? Oh my, oh jeez. I know.
My God, no
it's freaking terrible, honestly. Okay, what about the Canada Pension Plan? Because right now you pay into a federal pension plan, okay, like I would, and then when you retire, you get money back in a pension plan, right? When you reach 65 years of age or whatever, you can put it off, I think, until 70, something like that. So what's going to happen with that pension plan? Well, all of the money that is put into that, and really, we could actually bring that pension plan back to Alberta even before independence. You don't need independence. For example, Quebec has their own pension plan. They took all the money that was put into that federal pension plan by the province of Quebec, and they brought it to Quebec, and they look after their own pension plan. So why the hell should we have a bunch of bean counters being paid to look after our money in Ottawa with the Canadian pension plan when we can bring it back to Alberta? We can pay our own bean counters in Alberta to look after that money in that pension plan, and we can also invest that money in that plan the way Albertans wanted it invested. Now, the problem with the way that Ottawa invests our money in a pension plan is that they have been investing the money on stupid stuff like net zero type companies. If it's a company that is green companies and green this and green that, and those companies have been failing, they've been doing poorly, and they've been doing a bad job of investing in companies that actually make money and things that make money. If we had that in our own Alberta pension plan, we could be investing that money in Alberta real estate, in Alberta senior citizens' homes, for example, in apartment buildings, in government buildings. There's a lot of real estate because people take their pension plans. For example, the Quebec pension plan actually invests in Alberta real estate because it is one of the best investments across Canada. Alberta real estate. It's funny. The Quebec pension plan invests in Alberta real estate. Now, and meanwhile, we send our money to Ottawa, who invests in green frickin' bullshit, which we've had enough of that kind of stuff. Okay, so number one, we can do our own pension plan within Alberta. Number two, we can do a far better job of investing our money in things that we want to invest in and not those green net zero initiative bullshit things that they're investing in Ottawa. Okay, what about the unemployment system? When you basically, the way it works is, when you're working, you take a portion of your income, you and your employer split it, okay, and each of you and your employer send a portion of your income to Ottawa in Canada, and they keep it in some kind of a pool. And again, they invest that money in shitty stuff, okay? So they blow it all so that there's not much left in there, and they claim, oh, we have to bring in more immigrants because our EI system is dwindling, so need more workers to bring them into the country, not thinking that the workers that they're bringing in are actually on welfare, they don't pay into the system. But the EI system you can do locally. You can do within your own province. We can collect our own money. We can put it into a bank account, and then we can invest that money in things that we think are going to make money, so that later on, when you lose your job, then you can pull money out of that unemployment system. Okay, so we can do it ourselves. No big deal. It's not like it's rocket science, and we can actually do a better job than they do federally. Because right now, when you send your EI money to Ottawa, you're actually paying bean counters in Ottawa to look after your money. There's a whole bureaucracy set up to look after that money that we're sending over there. We can actually do that ourselves right here in Alberta. Okay, it's not rocket science, and it can be done. And we can actually save money because we're actually paying workers that actually live here in Alberta. And we're not paying workers to look over that after that money that live in Ottawa. Okay, so that makes complete sense. What about the border with Canada? Yeah, so we're going to have borders around Alberta. Yeah, no problem. And we're going to have to tariff things that come into our province. If there's a train that comes from BC full of widgets that they need in the Canadian Tire store in Eastern Canada that are coming from China or whatever, yeah, we may have to tariff those items when they come across the border. But you know what? You should build a pipeline for our oil out to the West Coast. And then we won't tariff those items that come through our province here. How about that? How about we be treated fairly, and we'll treat you fairly, right? But then at least we have some leverage. Right now we have no leverage whatsoever against Quebec or Ontario or BC or any other province in Canada. We have no leverage whatsoever. All we have is the federal government with a big hammer coming down hard on us, saying, no, you can't produce any more oil. No, you can't build a pipeline. No, you can't have any ships on the coast of BC to haul any oil anywhere. All we're doing is we're getting beat over the head by Ottawa, and we can't do anything. But yet, they'll take our money. They'll take our oil money. We're producing oil right now, but instead of leaving it in our province for us to use and build more schools, build more hospitals, build more infrastructure, make our roads better, no, it's like send it to the federal government, give it to Ottawa, or Ontario rather, and Quebec. That's how crazy it is. What about loss of citizenship? Yeah, we've already gone through that. We're going to have a passport. You already have your Canadian passport. You'll keep that, but you'll have an Alberta passport. You'll have dual citizenships. There are a lot of people all over the world that have dual citizenships. You have immigrants that come from, let's say, Lebanon to Canada. Well, they still have their Lebanon passport, and when they immigrate to Canada and become a Canadian citizen, they have a Canadian passport. Same thing. You'll have a Canadian passport and you'll have an Alberta passport. What about no right to work in other provinces? Again, you will certainly have a right to work in other provinces because you'll have a Canadian passport. You're still a Canadian citizen, and you'll have an Alberta passport. So you can work in Alberta. You can move to the Maritimes. You can get a job there on a fishing boat if you want. You can move to BC. You can have a job there as a lawyer fighting the land claims by the natives in BC. You can do whatever you want anywhere in Canada, or you can do whatever you want in Alberta. It'll be like, hey, no big deal. Right? It'll just keep on going. What about a loss of trade? With the other provinces, like I say, you've got trade barriers at provinces right now that are already set up. We don't have free trade within the country of Canada right now, and it won't be any different. We'll just be like the United States, but we can definitely have free trade with other provinces, or if they have barriers against our products to go into other provinces, well, then we'll have barriers against those products coming into Alberta too, just like the United States. No big deal there. That's just a matter of putting down on paper what you want to do, and then having border guards watching what's coming in and out of Alberta a little bit more than we have right now. Right now, like for example, you cannot buy beer in BC and bring it across the border into Alberta. There's without paying some kind of tariffs and stuff like that, or wine and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Those things are already there. The only thing is you don't have a checkpoint where somebody actually checks what you have in your vehicle. Well, we'll end up having a checkpoint because we will be like a country, and we will be watching who comes across our border. And you can bet that we absolutely will not be letting illegal aliens come into Alberta, like they do over in Roxham coming in from the United States, where the RCMP meets the illegal alien at the border and carries his luggage across the border. No, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be, you come in here, you better have your papers ready when you're coming in here before you even set foot in here. Otherwise, we'll turf you back over to where you came from. Simple as that. Okay, what about the uncertainty over natural resources? Hey, natural resources are natural resources. They'll maintain the same thing as they are right now. They're part of the province, and whether it's gold, silver, or lithium, or whatever it is that you're digging out of the ground, or oil sands, or drilling a hole for oil. Those natural resources remain with the province, so when Alberta becomes its own country, those resources are part of our own country here. What about the loss of laws? Because right now our justice system comes from UK, right, from the British system, and Canada adopted those because Britain came over here and basically took over Canada and brought all of those laws in here. Well, we can actually set up our own legal system with our own laws, our own justice system, our own judges. We don't have to have liberal judges that are basically selected by liberals in Ottawa and installed here in Alberta, because that's what we have right now. We don't have conservative judges here. These are liberal judges. As a matter of fact, the judge that is making the decision right now, because there's a court order right now to stop counting the plebiscite signatures. There's a court order right now that's being put in place by a liberal judge that was installed by the liberal government. You see how bad that is? And that's another reason for Alberta to become independent, so that we can turf those liberal judges right out of here that are making liberal decisions in our court system, letting people run free, giving them the very least amount of sentence possible, letting people with, a list of crimes that they've done, and they're still walking on the street. They don't go to jail. They just let them out and do whatever they want. You got drug dealers out there selling drugs to these fentanyl addicts out there in the street. You got open drug use. You have the police that are being told not to arrest people for open drug use. It's a shit show. Absolute shit show. And more people are getting involved in drugs because there are drugs all over the place. Okay? That's part of the problem. When you don't arrest people for doing drugs, when you don't arrest drug dealers, and you don't even look for drug dealers, like I could go downtown and I could tell you exactly who the drug dealer is. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, it's the guy riding the little bicycle. Here's a tip for the Edmonton City Police. The guy riding the little bicycle is the drug dealer. He's the guy that's going around talking to people and finding out if they need drugs and selling them the drugs. He's got the little bicycle. So be on the lookout for the guy on the little bicycle, because I've been down there, I've been watching, I've been sitting, and I watch what goes on, and the guy riding the little bicycle would be the very first guy that you would target for selling drugs in the whole downtown area. And they cover a big area on their little bicycle, right? They don't walk around selling drugs. Now, some of them do for sure, but be on the lookout for the guys on those little bicycles, okay? And lock them up. If you get, okay, so maybe you allow the free drug use or whatever, but you know what? Being a drug dealer is against the law. Okay, they're selling illegal drugs. They're selling fentanyl. They're selling meth. They're selling crack. They're selling all kind of stuff that is illegal. And the police don't even lock up the drug dealers. They let them ride around and sell the drugs to all of the people that are hunched over downtown. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to just sit in your little undercover car and just watch. This guy, he needs to buy drugs every day. Who is it that's selling him the drugs? Maybe I should watch and see who comes around and sells the drugs, and then arrest that guy. If you're not going to arrest the guy that's actually doing the drugs. Like, come on. This is not rocket science, okay? So the court system, we can set up our own court system. We can set up our own judges, and we can do a hell of a lot better than what we see happening from those liberal judges that don't like giving anybody any kind of a maximum sentence. It's like slap on the wrist, reduced fine, plea bargain, then let the guy back out in the streets, And that's what the law system is in Canada. And actually, I say, and I've said this a long time ago, that Canada is one of the best places in the world to live if you're a criminal, because nothing happens to you. Minimal sentence. You could be the worst drug dealer selling pounds of cocaine or something like that. And, you know, like in other countries, you might be put to death in the Philippines. In other countries, you might be life imprisonment. In other countries, you might get 10 years in jail. But in Canada, you know, you might get a couple of years in jail, 3 years in jail, and you were locked up for 6 months, so you get double that. So you got a year, you know, because you're in there for 6 months, so you get a year of good or extra time off of your sentence. So at the end of the day, you might get maybe a year in jail, and then if you're good in jail, you get let out, and then you do a little bit of community service. That's the way it works in Canada. Like, really. Like, I've been involved where people have done harm to me personally, done stuff to me where they've ended up being in court, and the judge is like, oh, you're just a poor person that doesn't have a job, homeless person, whatever. And yeah, society is really terrible towards you. And oh, you know what? If you'll just see this probation officer once a month for the next year, that'll probably be good enough for you. And no, you're not going to get any jail or anything like that. And oh, what about the harm that you did? What about the damages that you did to Tommy Temper? What about the thousands of dollars of damage that you did to him? Are you going to have to pay that back to him? No, you're not going to have to pay anything back because you're just a person that was harmed by society, and we feel sorry for you because we're a liberal judge. That's the way it works in Alberta here right now with these stupid liberal judges. I'm sick and tired of this bullshit that's going on here. We need to have a real justice system that is hard on the criminals, that locks up the criminals and gets them off of our streets so that they quit breaking into stuff, they quit stealing stuff, and they quit looking for their next 20 bucks for their hit of cocaine or fentanyl or whatever it is that's going on. We can do this. I know we can do this. It's something that can be done. And an independent Alberta will do that. I did a video the other day where I showed what it's like in downtown Edmonton. And yeah, actually, I should bring that video up here. Hang on. Let me just bring it onto the screen here. And I'll show you. I did a video in downtown Edmonton to show you how bad it was. And, you know, people say, well, Tommy Temper, you're not an influencer. No, I'm not an influencer. And I don't know what you need to be an influencer. But, yeah. Hang on, let me bring this one on here. Oh, I love this. I love this picture, too. This is actually pretty cool. Let me just see if I can bring it on here. Yeah, this one right here. I love this this photo. This is actually, you know, a really, really good representation of what it's like here, or what it should be like. This is what my vision is. This is what our vision is of an independent Alberta. Is Lady Madonna riding her horse with the Alberta flag in front in the foothills with the Rocky Mountains behind her there. This is like the absolute vision. And by the way, that flag looks awfully similar to the flag that's behind me. That's actually the flag that she's got on her horse right there that's behind me. That's funny. But yeah, I love that picture. But hang on here. Let me show you what reality is right now. This is like the utopia of what Alberta could become. Okay, but let me show you the reality of the way it is right now in Alberta. And this is not bullshit, because this is me going downtown Edmonton and doing a video of what it's like. And there's not much audio on here, on this one here. Hang on a second. Okay, if you can see this, okay. Take a look here. What you'll see is... Oh, hang on a second. I have a phone call. Let me just see who this is. I think it might be a foreign person. Oh, geez, I hate that. Car dealership. It's Paul from the car dealership. Blah blah blah. Yeah, right. Wreck my show here with a phone call from the car dealership trying to sell me a car warranty or something like that. All kind of bullshit. Anyways, this is downtown Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. This is where I live, okay? And you guys hear me, and you've seen me down here giving away homeless shelters, okay, to people in the downtown area. Just look at how bad it is downtown here, okay? This is a video that I did where we went downtown last week, okay? So this is just last week that I videoed this. So this is pretty new. And it is getting worse and worse and worse. And there are literally, I did a quick count as I was driving around that area, and I counted about 500 people, okay? This is just one little street, one little strip, but it is all over this whole area is where people are. And like I said, I did a quick count of about 500 people that I counted, and then I gave up counting. But there are hundreds of people out there. And you can see the people here. To me, it looks like they're doing the fent bent there, the guy on your left a little bit there, and people crowded around. The people are actually freezing out there on the streets because it gets to be below zero in the daytime, below zero, nighttime below zero. Even right now, it's below zero at nighttime. The people are freezing out there in the streets. They're lighting fires all over the place, okay, which are actually, if they're near a building when they light the fire, which are always near buildings, and buildings are burning down all over the place because these guys are lighting fires, and they call them warming fires. Yeah, crackhead, fentanyl head, meth head, whatever you want to call it here. Check it out. Check it out. Okay, so you can see people, they're like huddled together. They got bed sheets on them there. You can see what the buildings look like. Does that building, Boba Island, does it look like a thriving business? The only business that's actually doing well, by the way, if you look closely, is there's some kind of a gift thing there, which is maybe like a variety type store, like a 7-Eleven style store or something like that. And there's a pharmacy, and the pharmacy sells the opioids, right? Which what the people do is they go in and get the free opioids because the government offers, and I don't know if it's it's probably the federal government that's behind this, the liberals. Again, it's a liberal thing where they say, oh, well, if you're addicted, you can come in and get your free opioids. What the people do is they go in and they get their free opioids from the pharmacy. Okay, and you can see right there, it says Pharmacy 1. So right there is the pharmacy where they get the free opioids. That's the business that seems to be thriving. So if you're in one of these opioid pharmacy businesses, that is a booming business. Booming business. I see pharmacies opening up all over the place. And wherever there's one of these pharmacies, you'll see homeless people congregated around there. And you know what? It's like they seem to be doing the fentanyl bent all the time. Now, why is that? And the reason for it is because what they do is they go into the pharmacy and they get the free opioids. Then they take them out onto the streets, and then they sell them to the dealers, and the dealers convert the opioids either into cash so that they can buy fentanyl, or they convert them directly into fentanyl. Because really, they don't want the opioids. What they want is the fentanyl, because the fentanyl is, it's like, I don't know what it is, elephant tranquilizer or something. It gives them a far better high than the opioids that they're getting from the pharmacy, right? And that's what's going on here. And you might wonder, well, Tommy Temper, how do you know these things? Like, what, are you a drug addict? No, I'm not a drug addict. But I talk to people. I talk to the people on the street. I find out what they're doing. I find out what's going on. And apparently the police and people like that must not have a clue as to what's going on. But like I said, if you sit there long enough and you watch, eventually you'll see the guy coming on the little bicycle, and you'll see him doing the cash deal where he takes the guy's cash or whatever the hell the guy has and sell him the fentanyl. right? Check it out. Okay, so you can see the fire right there. Okay, to the right or left of your screen there, you can see where there's this fire burning right here. And also, there's a couple other things that we notice right here. There's a lot of people bundled up in here, just sitting there, because these guys are higher than a kite. When you're high, you don't feel the cold as much. You got some people that are around the fire here. But there's another interesting thing here, and that is that you've got businesses here, you've got storefronts, you've got the displays here. But this is the middle of the day. This store is not open. This store is not open. This store is not open. In fact, none of these stores are open, because how the hell can you run a business when you have all of these kind of people lighting fires and congregating in front of your business? Who the hell in their right mind, that's a normal person, is going to come over here and walk into a business here? Number one, this business is not going to survive because you've got all of these derelicts around here. And the only businesses that do survive is a little shithole 7-Eleven type business and the pharmacy. Those are the only businesses that survive in this area. And you've got people here that are setting stuff on fire continuously. And these, if it's a building like this where it's like concrete in here, and then you've got metal in here, well, okay, you can set a fire close to that, and you'll see scorch marks all over the place on the sides of these buildings from all the fires that they're setting in there. So yeah, you can't have any kind of wood or anything combustible with your building because it'll be up in smoke, which you do see buildings that are burnt down all over the place downtown that are like older wood structure type buildings. But fires all over the place, and people that are buying the either high on the opioids from the pharmacy, or they've transformed them into Fent, and you can see where they're doing the Fent bent and stuff like that. More stores that are not open. There's a restaurant. Hey, let's go to the restaurant. Let's go for a bite to eat at the restaurant. Chinese restaurant. Maybe we'll get some Chinese food. You know what? And this is primarily an area that is known as Chinatown. Okay, Chinatown is where we're at here right now at this particular location. And these Chinese people bought these buildings, opened up businesses, and then the government allows this kind of stuff to proliferate. And they no longer can run their businesses. They can't. They're not even open. They put shutters on the front of why are there shutters, expensive shutters on the front of these buildings? Why? Because they've been broken into so many times by all these people that they just put the shutters on there. They don't even bother opening their business up. This is the middle of the afternoon. They're just plain broke and out of business. There's another fire right there. Right at this spot here. It's kind of hard to see it, but they have another fire right at this point right in here doing their thing. Oh, there is one other business that proliferates, and that is a drop-in center that feeds the homeless and gives them a place to sleep at nighttime. That business proliferates. This blue building here is one of those buildings. So this building does really, really well. And you can see on the front of this building,
keep it pointed over there.
you can see this building here where they're in the corner of the building right now. There's most of them have gone into the building, but there's still a bunch of people that are outside of the building. But this is what I'd call a feeding center, where they can go in there and get a bite to eat, whatever, and then later at night, I think they have beds or something like that where they sleep in there. And yeah, but you know what? Not every one of them gets to go inside of the building. Many people are still going to be out on the streets, drugged up and whatever, because they don't allow them inside of the building if they're drugged up, right? That's one of the things where they do that, right? Not good. And then you've got this truck here that rolls around all over the city. In fact, I see that right here, a block from where I live. I've seen this truck. It rolls over to my area here too. And what they do is, it's kind of a rescue type truck where, I don't know what they do actually. Rescue, okay? Right? If you see somebody laying down on the ground, basically sprawled out and in need of Narcan or something like that, then you dial dial 211 or something on your phone, and you get this guy that answers the phone and says, yeah, what's your problem? And then you can tell them that there's a man down or something, and then they'll send this Hope truck over that'll give them some Narcan, and I don't know if they give them food or something like that. They might very well give them some Mr. Noodles or something like that. I'm not sure. But that truck you see all over the place in Edmonton.
Okay, stop.
Okay. Yeah, so anyways, that was the video that I did on that day. Now, I did another video, and it is really bad, really bad. And it's not right in this area, but it's in a different area, but downtown again. And we happened to pull up, and we just stopped on the side of the road to see what's going on. And there was a whole bunch of people just like this that are all milling around. And there was a guy lying on the ground. And again, it was like you see here where it's wet ground because it had snowed and melted or whatever. And it was wet around just under zero. And the guy was lying on the ground on his back, and he was not moving. He was not moving at all. And we stopped, and I rolled my video, and I did a video of that. And then a car showed up. We thought it was a police car, but it was actually kind of an intermediary, kind of a bylaw type police car. And two guys jumped out of that car. They had the Narcan with them. They went over to where the guy was on the ground, face up on his back, and they tried moving his arm, moving his leg, whatever. The guy was like dead to the touch, not moving whatsoever. They started giving him like pounding on his heart area, trying to resuscitate him. And they pulled out that Narcan there. I'm not sure if they injected him with Narcan or if they gave him something nasal where he breathed it in or whatever. I don't know. We were a little bit far away to get the details on that. But the guy, they were able to actually revive him after working on him for maybe 2 minutes. He actually kicked his leg and he came to, right? So I think he overdosed, and the Narcan revived him to the point where he was kind of delirious. He was unable to get up off the ground, but the two cops then moved him from the curb area over to the side of the building, and they propped him up against the building, and they left the guy propped up against the building. And then the two cops hopped in their car, and then I could see they were filling out a report. The bylaw officers, it was a bylaw car, so I wouldn't say they were cops. So they did their job where they revived the guy that was pretty much dead on the ground, dying from an overdose. And they revived him, and then they propped him up against the building, and they left him there. And then they got in their car, they wrote their report, and then they took off. And then we drove off, and we looked over to where the guy was. And yeah, he absolutely was dead to the world if they wouldn't have showed up and if they wouldn't have done that. So yeah, at the end of the day, it was a pretty sobering experience. And one of my children was with me. Actually, both of my kids were with me. Both of my kids were with me. And both of my kids actually witnessed that guy that was pretty much dead, and he was revived. And it was a pretty good lesson for my kids to actually see that happen, and to see that you shouldn't do drugs. A good example of don't do drugs. But I was afraid of putting that post up on my Facebook group page because of it showing a guy that was almost dead. You know what I mean? And there are liberals out there that love to report stuff that I do and give me a strike on Facebook. I call it a strike, but it's kind of a timeout where you can't post, you can't comment, you can't do anything. You can just stay away from Facebook. You can look at stuff. That's about all you can do. But I get those strikes all the time for stuff that I post. This particular post here, people go, oh, well, Tommy Temper, you're not a celebrity, or you're not an influencer, stuff like that. No, I'm not. I'm just a regular person. But if you look close, This particular post right here got, if you look close here, look here at the numbers on this post of people that reacted to it. There were 832 reactions. There were 797 comments, okay, and 216 shares on this one. Look closer. I'll show you the insights on this one here, okay? Insights are the back end that when you do a post, you can actually see the insights. And I'll show you what the insights were. Insights were, let me bring it over here. Views is what the important thing is here, right here. We'll bring it over here. Right here, you can see the number of views for this post was 117,000 views on this post. Do you see that number? 117,000 people viewed that little short video that I just showed you here. So to me, that is about as viral as that I ever get on, if I get something that's 100,000 views, I go, yeah, okay, that video or whatever it is that I did pretty well. And you can see here's what the views are like to the 28th from the 25th. So in a 3-day period, it got 117,000 views. And like I say, well, it also made dollar-wise $14.47 on one post here that is like about 30 seconds long, okay? Because my Facebook is monetized, so I make money off of stuff that I post over there. Now, for me, it's not a matter of the $14 that I made here, the money or whatever, because at the end of the month, whatever, yeah, it ends up being a lot of money over there. But it's the point is that the post itself is very, very telling in that people don't like this stuff. They don't like this in Alberta. I don't like this in my province. And the reason that this stuff is in my province is because of Ottawa, because of the poor drug policies, the open drug use policy, that you can have up to 2 grams of any kind of illegal drug, and the police are told not to arrest you at all. The police obviously are not arresting the dealers because everyone has the drugs. The people need places to live. And when you have such a proliferation of drugs out on your streets, it makes it very, very easy for anybody else that has lost his place to live, that ends up associating and coming over and staying in these places, to get involved with the people that are actually doing the drugs and selling the drugs and becoming addicted to the drugs. And it's a cycle that just keeps on repeating itself over and over and over again unless you do something about it. And this is why I am totally against this kind of stuff. I'm against the liberal judges that allow this kind of stuff. I'm against the liberal government that we have elected in Ottawa that allows this stuff to happen. And people go, oh, Tommy, that's no different than it is in Oshawa or Toronto or in Montreal or in Newfoundland, New Brunswick, or in Vancouver. It's no different in Edmonton than it is anywhere in Canada. Yeah, why is that? Because it's the same liberal government with the same stupid liberal laws that do this kind of shit to make us a shithole. Canada has become a shithole, and this is a good reason why Alberta wants separation, because we're sick and tired of being a shithole, right? And don't say to me, oh, well, that's no different than anywhere else. Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. And you know what? We can do a hell of a lot better than what we see. I'm tired of that stuff, really, honestly. I'm tired of walking within a block from where I live and seeing guys doing the fent bent and looking to break into whatever stuff on my property. You know what? I've had my garage broken into. I've had my shed broken into. I've had lots of things broken into here, and it happens like so often that I don't even call the police anymore. I deal with it myself. You guys have seen a video of me turfing some woman that's camped out on the back of my property here, where I'm telling her, what the hell are you doing here? Why are you here? Get the hell off the property, get away from here, but that's all I can do is just say that. And then when I talk to the police go, well, the city the city tells us not to arrest anyone. So if you have any beef, go talk to your alderman at the city council. Well, guess who's running the city council? A bunch of frickin' lefties. You know, like I'm pretty sure that the mayor of Edmonton is frickin' gay. He's gay. He's so lefty, you know, and he's got a whole bunch of people all around him that think identical to what he is. And why is it? It's because people that are lefty love to get into government and then ruin it for everybody else, for allow woke shit to happen all over the place. And we're sick and tired of woke crap being shoved down our throats, both from the federal level down to the provincial level, down to the civic level. We're sick and tired of it. And now we've got Carney bringing in hate laws so that what I just said could probably land me in jail, right? This little broadcast right here, what I said 10 seconds ago, could land me in jail for saying that. And of course, there's those of you out there in the chat that are like, oh, Tommy's just homophobic or whatever. Yeah, I'm just telling you the way it is. And I'm telling you what kind of sick people are running the governments here in Canada and making this into a shithole. Really, I'm tired of it. You know, I can figure out exactly what's going on. And if I was in government, I would absolutely put a stop to all this kind of bullshit and make sure that we clean up this mess and make sure that we don't allow free drugs out on the streets, make sure that we don't allow open drug use all over the place, make sure that we don't allow possession of small quantities of illegal substances to be allowed. If it's illegal and if it's on the books as an illegal substance, well then, if a cop catches anybody with any kind of an illegal substance, they should be seeing a judge in a court and end up going to jail or whatever it takes, and put them in rehab. Put them in rehab. There's nothing. I would imagine that you in the chat would probably agree that maybe these people should be in rehab, maybe get some rehabilitation for their problems, you know? And you know what? If they want to be drug addicts out in the streets, maybe you should round them up and send them to some little town somewhere in the middle of nowhere, like up in northern Alberta, where you set up a little town of a bunch of drug addicts and let them all congregate there and do all their dope in their own little town that you set up for them. Oh, but Tommy, that sounds like communism, you know? That sounds like, yeah, well, you lefties all want Marxism and you want socialism and you want communism. Yeah, well, you want that. So don't tell me that that's not a good idea. Put these people to work. If they want to be, in fact, if people want to be on welfare, wherever they might be, pick them up at the beginning of the day and send them out to clean up the streets. You know, when you're looking at this video, there's another thing that you should notice, and that would be the amount of garbage everywhere. Okay, and you'll see in these areas downtown, there is garbage everywhere. And the other day, I saw a city truck with city workers that are probably making $30 to $40 an hour with a little peg post and a dustbin or whatever and a little garbage bag. And you had city workers being paid big bucks to clean up all the garbage from all these street people. Why the hell can't these street people that are getting government money clean up their own garbage? Why can't you round up a whole bunch of them and put them to work, the people that are on welfare, round them up. If you want to be on welfare, here, when you get to pick up your welfare check, in order to do that, you have to be available for work. We'll send a bus over, we'll pick you up, we'll put you to work, we'll clean up the streets. You're not going to get paid, but you're going to get your welfare money, and we'll send you to clean up all over the place, instead of having to hire government union workers, because the government is all union. So you get those lefty unions working for the city that end up getting the big bucks to go and pick up the garbage from these guys that are like homeless people out on the streets making a big mess for everyone, right? Like put people to work, put people back to work. Even if it's like, hey, if you want to be on welfare, sure, we'll pay you welfare, but in order to get that welfare check, you gotta put in your hours helping out and work for the government to help clean up the big mess that you guys are creating. Nothing wrong with that at all. I think it's probably a good idea, right? Don't you? Hey, let's do it. We can do it. we can work together on coming up with ideas on how to make the world a better place. I think it should happen everywhere. It doesn't matter whether you're in Canada or the United States or anywhere. Absolutely, definitely put people to work and don't just give money for free. Carney is creating this wealth fund, so-called wealth fund, and there is a place in Canada called the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, and let me bring this little bit in here from the Taxpayers Federation, and this is what the government is more than $1 trillion in debt, and Carney is going to borrow $25 billion more, dump it into his so-called sovereignty fund, then gamble your money on risky corporate handouts. So, yeah, this is what he has to say about that.
Carney wants you to think he just created a sovereign wealth fund. Carney did not, okay? Carney just created a debt-fueled corporate slush fund. Okay, so here's what's going on. Carney just made an announcement. Canada's first ever sovereign wealth fund. No. Here's what's going on. The government is already more than $1 trillion in debt, and Carney just announced he's going to borrow another $25 billion to dump into this new fund, and then the fund is going to subsidize Canadian companies. That is not a sovereign wealth fund, okay? That is a debt-fueled corporate slush fund that gambles taxpayers' money, your money, on corporate welfare. Okay, the whole point of a gold standard sovereign wealth fund like Norway's is to save money, right? Norway saves its oil revenue into its sovereign wealth fund, and then it invests the interest and only invests that interest in projects abroad, right? To help with diversification, to guard against politicians dumping, wasting money on corporate welfare or their own pet projects. In stark contrast, okay, Carney's corporate slush fund is built on borrowed money, $25 billion of borrowed money, and then is going to subsidize Canadian companies, picking winners and losers in the Canadian marketplace. Again, this is not a sovereign wealth fund.
Well,
right?
watch them invest money in another battery factory that's going to go tits up, which the Canadian government has already done that. They've wasted literally millions and millions of dollars on these pet projects like electric vehicles. Oh, they were making this green drop electric vehicle, a van that went tits up. Where they stopped production. There's a battery plant that they invested in Quebec that went tits up. Like, the government is like especially bad at investing in crap that goes tits up, because technology changes so fast that by the time they get the thing built and started producing something, they've already gone to a different method of producing batteries and stuff like that. High tech is like the worst stuff that you can actually invest in.
Right? The whole point of a sovereign wealth fund is to essentially use budget surpluses to save some of that money. Okay, this is borrowing another $25 billion. Look, the debt is out of control. Interest charges on the debt are already costing taxpayers more than $1 billion every single week. Carney should not be dreaming up new ways to borrow billions more and risk your money on corporate welfare.
Yeah, absolutely. And right there is another reason why Alberta should become independent from Canada, because right there is another carbon Carney shitty investment with borrowed money on the backs of Canadian taxpayers, because who eventually pays for borrowed money? The taxpayer. You, me, and anybody else that's paying taxes. And you guys in the chat that are from Canada, right, have to see what's going on, have to realize that Carbon Carney is not good for you. He's bad for you. He's coming up with ideas that are going to put you further in debt. Canada is already $1 trillion in debt, and now it's even more, right? It like he says, it's a slush fund. This guy with the Canadian Taxpayers Federation is right on par with exactly what's going on. You got to follow these guys, you got to listen to them, and you have to see what's going on. It's absolutely crazy. It's crazy. You know, we're being hoodwinked, absolutely hoodwinked by everything that's going on with our federal government here. We're paying through the nose for everything. We're sick and tired of what's going on. And again, that's another reason why we should be leaving Canada. We've got the $1 trillion of debt, and more of it is being piled on all the time. Meanwhile, if we were an independent country, sure, we're going to have to put on some debt in order to get these services running, right? Bring in the police force, the Canada Pension Plan, EI, employment insurance, and we have to set up these programs, which of course is going to cost some money to set these things up. But Alberta will be bringing in so much capital that we will eventually get to the point where we're going to be like Norway, where we're going to be able to put money from the oil resources into a separate fund that will grow over time. We will be able to invest the money that is from that fund into things that will grow it even bigger, and we will have a great lifestyle. And we won't be saddled with all this debt that the rest of Canada is going to be saddled with. It's going to be crazy. The other thing is student loans and stuff like that. We should make it so that it is really, really affordable to go to school in Alberta. Right now, it costs an awful lot to go to university. And people always say, yeah, well, you guys send your money to Ottawa, which sends its money to Quebec, and the people that are in Quebec get free or really low-cost education in their universities in Quebec because Alberta is sending our money over to Quebec. That's why it's happening. Meanwhile, to go to school in Alberta costs you an arm and a leg. It's not cheap to go to school in Alberta. So we wouldn't have to have student loans in Alberta. You'd be able to just go to school and get paid for by the government. How about that? Let's see. Loss of the Coast Guard. Oh, the Liberals say, yeah, but you're going to lose your Coast Guard, and you wouldn't be able to have a Coast Guard on your rivers and lakes in Alberta. You're going to lose the Coast Guard. Guess what? Alberta doesn't have a coast. We don't have a coast of water. Like, come on, a Coast Guard? I don't even know that we need a Coast Guard in the first place. We have what's known as the fish and wildlife in Alberta, but that's an Alberta thing, and that will stay. Do we really need a Coast Guard in Alberta to guard our rivers and lakes or to do stuff? In fact, I didn't even know that there was a Coast Guard in Alberta, but people are like so afraid of that. Oh, we're not going to have. This is a good one. We're not going to have CBC radio and television because it's a federal government thing. And you know what? Canada spends $1.5 billion. Basically, Canada collects money from you, me, and every other taxpayer. And what they do is all of the provinces pay CBC $1.5 billion every year to fund their operations, okay? Now, I did a podcast the other day where I turn on CBC radio. I don't even watch CBC television anymore, but yet I pay for it. I pay for it, out of my pocket every month, whatever. Every time I get taxed, it's going to CBC. But I turn on the radio when I'm driving to Sylvan Lake or when I'm driving back to Edmonton, right? Just to see what CBC is talking about, And like 9 times out of 10, they're talking about something that is woke. You know what I mean by woke programming? It's like, I turned it on one time, and there was a guy where they were going to do an interview, and they identified him as a LGBTQ native, and they're going to interview a guy about LGBTQ native stuff, and I'm going, is that all you guys can come up with? Is woke shit like that? Or I turned it on where it was Mother's Day, okay, and they were interviewing a transvestite. Woman transvestite on Mother's Day, and I'm thinking to myself, oh man, if I was a woman, that would be like a slap in my face to have to listen to programming where they're interviewing transvestite on Mother's Day. Like that's CBC. That's what CBC does, And I got criticized by people by saying I turned the radio on and there was a program about a LGBTQ native, and I said, that's it. I said, I hate CBC, and that was my little 20-second blurb, whatever, that probably made $10 on Facebook for me saying that. But the point is that I don't hate LGBTQ people. I don't hate Native people. I don't hate the people that the special interest people that CBC brings on their programming. I don't hate any of those people that are involved in that. But I do hate CBC for continuously bringing on shit that is just plain woke, okay, and does not interest me whatsoever as just a regular Canadian, okay? It's like CBC is trying to brainwash me into becoming more of a woke person, right? And that's what I don't like. That's what hates me. And I hate to use the word hate because, it's like, oh, well, Tommy's nothing but a bunch of hate speech, No, not really, but I really dislike CBC for being so woke and for their type of programming that they have on there all the time. And for that reason, we should not be funding CBC 2 cents. CBC television has advertising on it, just like CTV, just like all of the rest of the television stations. They should be able to live on the advertising that they put on their own frickin' station. And if they need to put advertising on CBC radio, they should be able to do that, and they should be able to fund themselves. They don't need my hard-earned money for putting on all that woke propaganda. And the other thing that they push is leftism. Anything that's political on the CBC television or radio is slanted towards the left way of running things in Canada. In other words, they will really, really push liberal propaganda. They will prop up anybody that's liberal and talk very highly about them. And if it's anything to do with conservatism or Pierre Poilievre, they will poo-poo him. They will say bad stuff about him. They will call him MAGA. They will make him look bad. They'll just run him right into the ground, right? That's exactly what CBC does. And all I can say is shame on CBC. They even bring people in up in front of the government and quiz them about that. And CBC goes, no, we're not biased whatsoever. We're not biased. There's a guy that just quit CBC and told us what's going on there. They even have crying rooms in CBC so that if you get chastised for doing something right wing and you start crying, they'll go, oh, you better go into the crying room, and you can cry over there in that crying room. That's what CBC is all about. Shame on CBC. Shame on anybody that works on CBC and that promotes that propaganda and perpetuates the leftism that's going on in the CBC. And I'll be the very first one here to call you out, CBC radio television. And you know what? When Alberta becomes independent from Canada, I'll be the first one over there with my megaphone outside of the CBC studios laughing at you and calling you out for your leftism and your propaganda, and be the first one pushing whatever button I can to make sure that you're out the door. Take your frickin' propaganda and get the hell out of Alberta, because we don't want you here. We don't need you here. We're sick and tired of you here, and just go. Just leave already. And it's you lefties that are telling me, oh, Tommy Tepper, if you don't like living in Canada, we'll go live in the United States. Yeah, well, part of the reason that I don't like living in Canada is because of all the bullshit propaganda being perpetuated by CBC radio and television. So that's on my list here of one of the reasons why Alberta should separate. Because of CBC. How about that? Hey? Like this list just keeps going on forever. It's like, it's never ending. Like, how long have I been on here? It's already 3:00. Oh my God. And I'm not even halfway through my list here. And this is just a little list of shit that I wrote down off of the top of my head here. It is frickin' unbelievable what's going on here in Canada. We need independence, and I'm going to bring some people on my program here. I've been talking to a few people that are pro-independence. Bring on some guests here and be talking to the guests, and we'll be talking to the chat, and we'll be answering some questions from the chat to try and, get your questions answered here. Pooh Scissors, we got to go for a beer sometime there. We'll go down to the commercial hotel. Or you probably live on the north side of the city, over there where I did that video there. So I don't know if I really want to go close to where you live there to go for a beer over there. But anyways, one day we'll go for a beer. But yeah, you're my friend, Pooh Scissors, regardless of whether you were trying to troll me or not. You really are not really a true troll, not like Sandy Foster and even Brett. Brett, you really disappoint me. that you hang out with the trolls, you hang out over in Catamus Rex channel, you're like chummy chum with them, and you have turned into, like, I don't mind that you're pro-Palestine. That I don't mind at all. But now you've turned into a frickin' troll. You hang out with the trolls, you say stuff like the trolls, and like you're not about having a better life, right? You just want to be in with the swill with the trolls and bottom feed, and I'm not like that. I'm like, let's get ahead in life. Let's have a better life. And remember, I'm not going to be around here forever. I'll be dead someday, but I have children, right? I have basically, skin in the game. I have skin in the game. Brett, you don't have any skin in the game. It's just you and your girlfriend. You don't have any kids. You don't have any children. You don't have any reason to have a better life for anybody else other than yourself. And if you're happy with where you're at right now, okay, fine with you. For me, I'm like for the little guy. I know people that are on welfare. I know people that are on AISH. I know people that are handicapped. And I have 2 children that need to find a job. They need to have a life. They need to have a better life. And where we're at right now in Alberta and within Canada, it is a shithole, absolute shithole. And I'll be the first one to say it. Trump said it first, and I'll repeat it. It's a shithole. And when you bring people into the country that don't appreciate what's happening, and they just bring a bunch of garbage, they dump garbage all over the place. I saw a thing on X there where there's a doctor, an East Indian doctor, who's dumping his garbage from his vehicle out on the side of the road. Like, that's what these people are like that we're bringing into this country here. They don't appreciate what it's like here in Canada. And as far as I'm concerned, not good for me. Overpopulation, we can't control what's happening, and it's getting worse instead of better all the time. And the only way that we can have a better life in Alberta is to become independent. We can do it. Thanks a lot for being with us here today. You're watching the Tommy Temper Show. I'm Tommy Temper, and we like doing this. We're doing it for fun and enjoyment, and for a better life. We can do it.
Albertans rise up, tired of the status quo.
We're tired.
Oil sands pumping black gold, beef on the grill so fine. Grain fields waving golden, canola blooming in the sunshine. But Ottawa's taking our billions, unfair equalization gain, sending it east to Quebec while we shoulder the blame. No more pipelines blocked, no more carbon tax chains. We're done with the feds breaking free from their reins. Alberta freedom, ringing loud and true.
Woohoo!
Sovereignty calling.
Thank you very much, everyone.
No more woke liberalism.
Take care.
Stealing our way of life.
Hopefully,
Albertans stand
you guys
tall,
figure out have a good life wherever you're living too.
Rocky Mountains watching as we claim our own land. Freedom for our families with a rifle in hand.
Alberta freedom.
Let the anthems roll.
Cart anyone.
We're building our nation forevermore.
That's right. It's
From
gonna
the prairies
happen.
to the peaks, where the eagles soar high. We're sick of the traitors calling us traitors, that's a lie. Equalization's a thief, stealing our hard-earned pay, while they push their agendas, turning night into day. Beef ranchers and farmers, grain silos stand proud. Oil rigs turning profits under Alberta's cloud. No more begging for ports, landlocked but strong we stand. We'll negotiate our future with the world in our hand.
Alberta freedom. And what about Saskatchewan too? They might join us. Woohoo! Let's do it. Saskatchewan, Alberta.
Stealing our way of life. Albertans stand tall, cutting loose from the strife. Rocky Mountains watching as we claim our own land. Freedom for our families with a rifle in hand. Alberta freedom, let the anthems roll. We're building our nation forevermore. Self-determination's alright. Like Ukraine from the Soviets, we'll fight through the night. No more sending our wealth to fund their endless schemes. Our pensions rising, fulfilling our dreams. Tired of belittling their rules and their games. Albertans awakening, falling out on names.
Keep printing that money. We'll all go broke.
Canola fields yellow, beef herds grazing free, oil sands fueling futures as far as the eye can see. We're Albertans first, with hearts full of fire. Separation's the answer, lifting us higher. No more being the wallet for a broken confederation. Freedom's our birthright, our declaration. Alberta freedom, ringing loud and true. Sovereignty calling, independence coming through. No more woke liberalism, stealing our way of life. Albertans stand tall, cut loose from the strife.
That's right. Stand tall. Woohoo. We can do it.
Freedom for our families with the rifle in hand. Alberta freedom, let the anthems roll. We're building our nation forevermore. Alberta freedom, yeah, forevermore.
That's right. And don't forget to download that Zello app, register, and join the channel called Alberta Independence, because we can do it. Thanks a lot, everyone. This is the end of our broadcast. You're the star of this show. You out there in the chat, okay? This is for you. Thanks a lot for being with us. Yeah, this kind of a broadcast, it's really hard for me to interact with the chat, but I do see everyone in there. Like Masad is in there, and Brett Boyle is in there. Good to see everyone. There you go. You know, you may not like what's going on. That's your prerogative. You know, not everyone is like pro-independence, but I can see so many reasons for independence. But so far, I don't know that anyone has really given me any good reasons for Alberta staying in Canada. Okay, see you later. Bye for now.